Thank you. Honourable Minister.
I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I've taken note of the concern from Chiboga, and I'm going to work with the technical staff at the ministry and at the district to tackle the problem. Thank you.
Honourable, your response seems non-committal. Anyway, I'm going to follow up on this matter with the honourable member. I'm going to interest myself. Now, colleagues, Honourable Semuji was raising an important issue on procedure, but his issue was in line with my directive to the Committee on National Economy. I've said the committee does not bring reports and yet supposed to be giving us reports when you look at Rule 178. So read Rule 178 and Chairman of the National Economy Committee, you come into line. Okay? Honourable Sarila was also reminding me here that colleagues, most of you after my communication, you go for procedure. No, there is a reaction. Reaction is provided for, but all of you stand up on procedure. Okay? So, and it's discretionary on the presiding officer. It's not that it's given as a must. I might come and I fail to communicate, or I say hello. Will you say I want to react to that? So, colleagues, that's discretionary. Let's move. Honourable Natkunda Medias.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise on the matter of national importance regarding the poor state of roads in my district, Rukunjiri, but especially the road from Bwambara Town to Queen Elizabeth National Park and to Lake Edward. Right Honourable Speaker, this road at Rushaya C+D developed a huge crack on one side of the road, which has developed into a very big hole. This is a tourism road to Queen Elizabeth that generates income to the country, and also to the only landing site we have in the district, that's Wenshama landing site. It's been 6 years trying to negotiate with UNRA to come and fix the road because it's very dangerous to the users and to the community. Just last week on Monday, the team from UNRA came, and we thought they'd come with a lasting solution, but what they did was to extend the road on the other side, which did not solve the problem. So my prayer is that the team should come and fix this road, because when the August rains come, it will be impassable, it will block the road. So I request the team from the Ministry of Works or UNRA to address this problem as soon as possible. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. Government? Oh, Honourable Yamukama.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. We apologize as a government for what is taking place, but we are aware of the matter. What we had done was just as an emergency works, but we got a report, and since the financial year was ending, we are trying to make all ends meet. By next week, UNRA will fix the problem permanently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable. That's more specific. And Honourable colleague, please link up with the Honourable Minister of Works. Honourable Anywa Ricky.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you. I rise on issues of national importance. Right Honourable Speaker, on Friday the 30th July 2021 at 18 hours, Agago District experienced unusual downpour accompanied with storm. The Right Honourable Speaker, The storm left death and destruction in its wake. Several properties were destroyed, including buildings, both for private and government institutions. Right Honorable Speaker, the most affected was Wimonopechek Primary School, a government-aided primary school with a population of over 1,200 pupils. The Right Honorable Speaker, the whole classroom block roof was blown off by the wind, leaving primary 1 to primary 4 to study under the trees. Right Honorable Speaker, it's now 1 year since the roof was blown off and the children are studying under the roof, under the trees. Right Honorable Speaker, if we still believe in the saying that the children are our future, then we need to do something politically right to save the future of these children.
Prayers, Honorable.
My prayer is, Right Honorable Speaker, that the office of the Prime Minister should do something politically right to re-roof the building and also rehabilitate it. I beg to submit.
Government.
Mr. Speaker, let me say that we do regret what is happening in the constituency of Honorable Anywa, and the Minister for Disaster will follow up this matter tomorrow with Honorable Anywa, and we'll find a solution to what is happening.
Thank you. Honorable Kamatenet, Ntungamo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My issue is about student education management system registration in my district. Recently, Ministry of Education embarked on registration of all learners at all levels in my district. This activity was supposed to be done by head teachers, school administration, and LC1s, or local councils 1. But amidst the way, we got some people who came. They claim to be sent by NERA. They are registering at schools. They are charging parents between 2,000 and 5,000. And recently you saw in papers when they were saying Ntungamo district is among the first 5 districts with the highest number of children or women who are very fertile. You find every household has an average of 10 children. By the time you go to register a family with 10 children at school, that is around 50,000 every family.
No.
Some parents have started refusing to take their children to school because of this registration, because it is compulsory. We don't know what is taking place. I've tried to consult CAO's office, Chairman LC5, NERA. They claim it is supposed to be free. So my prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, I suggest or I request that you ask Ministry of Education to come out and explain this activity, terms and conditions involved. Secondly, if it is free, let them refund the money to parents who have already paid. Thank you so much.
Minister of Education. I hope you got the matter very well, Honorable Minister, or you need a minute to be briefed. Okay.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the member for raising such an important issue concerning the national identification number for our children, the registration process. Indeed, it is true, the Ministry of Education and Sports, together with NERA, we are registering our children, but this is not tagged to any mandatory payment. It is free of charge. However, I will follow that matter with my colleague, the Member of Parliament. I thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues in the public gallery, this afternoon we have students from the Guild Council of Bishop Stewart University in Mbarara, and they include Mr. Simwe Peter, Guild Speaker. Can you stand up for recognition? Yes, there they are. Mr. Noaman August, Guild Deputy Speaker. And Mr. Agumeni Twenoman, Guild Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. They are represented by Honorable Mwine Mpaka and Honorable Kwasa Rita. They have come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Honorable Chinyamatama.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. On Sunday, 10th July, at 4 a.m., Carol Aturinda, Annette Kabaya, Nobat Tezikara were driving in a Mercedes-Benz, registration number UBJ 053N, and were hit by a train at a crossing point in Nakawa Division. Right Honorable Speaker, on Friday, September 17, 2021, soldiers were equally hit by a moving train and 2 of them lost their legs. Right Honorable Speaker, the year 2021, May 31st on a Monday, a train caused and paralyzed traffic movements in Jinja City. Still, that was another accident. Right Honorable Members of Parliament, train accidents have been happening in the country, and there is no one who has come out especially. And my prayers are, train accidents have been happening and the ministry has not come out to explain. My major concern and prayer is that there should be warning lights at all crossroads. There should be flags at all crossroads. There should be automated alarm system that will be creating awareness about the crossing trains. And in a long-term solution, we need a flyover in those points. It is not wise to say that trains don't knock, but cars are the ones that knock in this modern era, where we can avoid those accidents. Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. If your prayers are done.
Yeah, my prayers are done. And thank you.
The Honorable Member from Mukono had approached my office over the same issue. Honorable, I don't know, do you have any complementary information?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Navukera Hanifa, Woman MP Mukono District. The information I want to give my colleague is one of the culprits or who were in the Mercedes-Benz was one of my students doing clerkship in my law firm. So we are saddened by her death, and I want to urge Ministry of Works to surely bring back those bars, the railway bars, signal, such that these other motorists stop for the train to pass. Because you see what happens nowadays, those rails are no longer working. And for the time I've grown up here in Kampala, we have already seen those bars, but of late they are not in operation. So Ministry of Works, together with the Uganda Railways, we urge you to look into this such that we save the lives of our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, this is a very, very absurd situation. Procedure?
Okay, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Minister, procedure?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, whatever I said on the floor of Parliament goes on record. And a while ago, I've had a honourable member calling me right honourable members. And I don't want to go home jubilating. I'm also now a right honourable. Actually, Honourable Speaker, there are so many Secretary Generals of political parties are calling themselves right honourables. But these positions and the titles are given for a particular purpose. So wouldn't it be procedure okay, right now, Speaker, that component be expunged from us members who are backup benchers? I wouldn't feel happy going home telling my wife that, you know, today I was called right honourable, yet there is only one honourable Speaker in Parliament, right now Prime Minister, other than creating these offices and titles which are not precedented. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Colleagues, please. Honourable Sewungu, a colleague is looking at others as potential right honourables. But for clarity, clerk correct that. Clerk kindly correct that. But we are all potential right honourables. Yes. Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. We do condole with the families for the dear ones lost in an accident. And very soon as the Ministry of Works and Transport, we shall come up to tell the public how the accident happened. But in the meanwhile, depending on the present directive, we are rehabilitating the major rail lines in the country. And in the future, we shall consider those safety precautions while rehabilitating. We ensure that no accident takes place.
Honourable, colleagues, please. Honourable Minister, take your seat. Don't mind. Honourable Minister, if you can listen to me, we have lost people. What the members are asking is that as an emergency measure and a response, put barriers you've been putting. I don't think if I find those barriers closed, I think why they do it may be at night there is no someone to, but these days, please, take advantage of technology. Take advantage of technology. Even from 100 kilometers, you can close a barrier. Even from 100 kilometers. So when they are setting off, they close, and then when they go, they open. So, Honourable Minister, please, we want to see you taking care. Kindly come back on this floor and recommit. And on Tuesday, you give us feedback on what you've done. Because I've seen it's normal, it looks normal to you. Honourable Minister, please come back on the floor.
Right Honourable Speaker, we shall take that advice. But for meanwhile, we have redirected URC to replace all the road signs along those crossings and to deploy those who can stop the vehicles, whether during the day or at night, meanwhile as we find the money to fix those problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. That's better. Honourable Sarah Opendi.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on a matter. Uganda, Right Honourable Speaker, is a religious country. We have a constitution, and following the enactment of the 1995 constitution, the government of Uganda put in place institutions that are supposed to ensure that we all maintain ethical values, but also that Ugandans are brought up with good morals. Right Honourable Speaker, most of you in the last week have seen in social media concerts in schools with musicians dancing in very obscene, seductive ways, and our students joining. Right Honorable Speaker, this to me as a mother is completely unacceptable, because there are ways in which even musicians should dress when going to schools. So, Right Honorable Speaker, some of these musicians were almost naked. We also saw, Right Honorable Speaker, during the last graduation at Makerere University, students dressed almost naked within graduation gowns. Most of you saw this. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we need to bring up our children with good morals. We need to bring up our children while they respect themselves and respect their bodies. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Minister of Education, whether there are no guidelines, dress codes
Order, colleagues.
in
Order.
schools that children are students, whether students are not supposed to be dressed decently in schools. I know Mukono is one institution where you can't dress in a certain way. Why can't we have the same in other schools? No, please. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to find out, Right Honorable Speaker, whether there are no guidelines governing these concerts in schools. And if they are there, I want to request the Ministry of Education and that of ethics to ensure that these schools are properly guided. And if they cannot adhere to the good moral values that we do expect, can these concerts in these schools be banned? And these musicians that go there must dress decently when going to these schools, not to go and, seduce our children.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
the Minister of Education is here.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, colleagues, Honorable Minister, recently we also saw a video trending on social media of school children engaging in immoral acts on a school bus. And also, we all used to dance at school, but the dancing of these days, I don't know what has happened. Huh? Huh? I don't know whether I'm in a wrong generation. because colleagues, it seems these days to dance, number one, your dress must be very short, extremely. Then you must dance when the head is facing down, the back facing up. I don't know. So, Honorable Minister, it's very unfortunate what's going on in schools. Kindly.
Thank you so much. I need to be protected.
Colleagues, please, colleagues, we are in a house, we are not in a marketplace.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Saropendi for raising such very important issue on the floor of Parliament. Indeed, it is true, and she's right, for all of us to uphold the integrity and our culture as God-fearing country. As Minister of Education and Sports, what she has raised is true, that it has happened that an indecent dancer or a singer that went into one of our schools. And as ministry, immediately we took action. First of all, we condemn such act in schools, and especially the said school. 2, the ministry issued a circular. Dancing is allowed, but to be danced in a decent manner that all of us went through. As you have said, Mr. Speaker, that our time we dance decently. And for that matter,
Honourable Minister, go on. Honourable Minister, I haven't allowed the member. Please go on.
Thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Mr. Speaker, as I said, we condemn such action and we have issued statement, a circular in all our schools regarding such act. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the second issue that you have raised, that has raised a lot of issues.
Please, I haven't allowed the member. It's me to allow a member, not you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for protecting me. That issue was handled, and indeed the right investigating bodies have handled that issue.
Procedure?
An action has been taken.
Honourable Minister, I've allowed the procedure.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am raising in relation to Rule 49. My understanding is that all these matters of national importance are being raised there. Mr. Speaker, this rule restricts what can be raised as a matter of public. In fact, the word is public. Most of the issues being raised are constituency. Maybe we need to amend the rules. But on the issue, because the rule requires, Mr. Speaker, the rule requires government to deal with these matters because they are of public importance and they are urgent. The issue of dressing, and the colleague that stood up started with giving a background of religion. In my faith, she is also indecently dressed, in my faith. In my faith. I have seen, Mr. Speaker, I have gone to Karamoja to do parliamentary work. I have found there people who are not dressed the way people in Uganda dress. In my constituency, I have seen people from Bugisu wrestling down adults, undress them, and do circumcision in public. And maybe in their area, it is decent. So the procedure issue I am raising in relation to 49 is whether matters that are not of public importance that require an immediate answer from government, that are also controversial and have no standards in the country, Mr. Speaker, should be raised under this rule. Because at the end of the day, if you have no standard as a country that this is, I mean, the cloth must be this length, this long, this size, how can that be so urgent, and which answer does our colleague require from government? So I am just requesting you, Mr. Speaker, to help us understand what can be raised under
Order.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Is honourable, through you, Right Honourable Speaker, there is what we call acceptable minimum standards. We have all gone through schools. Is the honourable member in order to really trivialize or even attempt to vulgarize by making many descriptions of how different cultures behave? Yet, even some of the cultures he's highlighting are being...
Honourable, we can't have order on order.
Even some of the cultures he's highlighting, government is trying to eradicate those behaviors in those communities. Is the Right Honourable is the honorable member in order trying to trivialize an issue of standards in schools and trying to say that what was done is right? Through you, Speaker, is the honorable member in order to do that?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable colleague. Honorable colleagues, all of us, we have children. What goes on in schools concerns us. It might not be all of us, but we can say generally. Okay? What concerns children in schools concerns us. Colleagues, please. And that's why in schools there is what you call uniform. You see, freedom without responsibility is also another problem. If you give children, school-going children, freedom without any responsibility, and yet we know that by their age and the influences in life, they need to be guided. You know, we can't just leave them that way. Otherwise, we are going to be in places, you know, where your son wakes up and he says, "Me, daddy, I'm a woman." I saw the daughter of Elon Musk saying that, and even the son of the mayor of Toronto said, "Mommy, for me from now, I'm a man." But you're a woman, we know you. He says, "No, me, I'm a man." And even goes to court and court grants it. You know, that's where we shall reach. So this shouldn't be a matter of contention between us. It should be a matter of discussion and ensuring that we put on some standards. Next time I will allow Honorable Joram Tibasimwa, the former headmaster Mbara High School, you know, maybe to submit on such a matter because they guide us. It's just guiding our children. Now, what was so painful was what the children were doing. I don't think if that was your daughter, if you saw that video, if that was your daughter or your son, you'd really approve for them to be doing that when they are in a stage of adolescence. That's when you come in as a parent and you guide. So, colleagues, we shouldn't make it a contentious matter. Honorable Minister, you have procedures you follow in controlling such behaviors in school. So kindly conclude. If there are such laws, please share them with us.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. As I said, we condemn such act. We have rules and regulations in schools. We'll continue to strengthen the rules and regulations. Lastly, concerning the bus saga, appropriate action has been taken and will continue engaging the head teachers, using all forums as far as upholding the integrity, standards, and good morals of our children is concerned.
Thank you.
I beg to submit.
Honorable Njomu Janyiroran, procedure. Honorable Asman Basariro.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable.
Thank you so much.
Colleagues, just a minute.
Yes.
There was procedure, there was order, and I told you, colleagues, that these are issues where we shouldn't have contention. We can have our interpretation, but the most important principle in this is that our children need to be protected. Number two, on matters being public matters or matters of urgence, if I see a daughter, someone's daughter, in senior 2, in such acts to meet an emergency matter as a presiding officer, the discretion is on me as a presiding officer, and I saw it as a matter which was very urgent and needed attention.
Right, Honorable Speaker, and precisely, I understood the Honorable Semuju to seek your indulgence on what constitutes a matter of national importance. I know that this 11th Parliament, under the leadership of the late Speaker, Jacob Olanya, may he so rest in peace, had the opportunity to contend with this issue Rule 49, what constitutes a matter of urgent national importance to necessitate the intervention of this House. And Right Honourable Speaker, you have rightly guided. The discretion is yours under 49, Rule 3, on admissibility. The discretion is yours. Now, on Rule 44, 1B, where a matter contains argument, expression of opinion, inference, imputation, irony, hypothesis, does it constitute a matter of national importance? But the guidance, Right Honourable Speaker, is yours. And I think that's where the Honourable Semuju is coming from. And that's where I think his procedure comes in. What should I bring as a matter of national importance, and what guidance do you give in as far as this matter is concerned?
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. You know, Honourable colleagues, in a day I receive over 30. I receive over 30 issues that are coming as matters of national importance. I guide in very many aspects. Some Prime Minister, some questions for oral answer, some petitions, some, motions. So by the time a matter I'm allowing a member, I've gone through a lot. Now, and there are lots of considerations I do make before allowing. Lots of considerations. And I think that flexibility is somehow needed if we are to move well. But also, we don't stop at that. Some of the members, I'm attaching them to senior colleagues for mentorship. Some I guide them, go read ABCD, and we grow. Because we have you remember more than 70% of Parliament is new. So the moment we keep dismissing colleagues right away, you frustrate, you frustrate people, they don't feel they belong here. So we shall grow together, but that does not mean that indeed we bring down the standard of Parliament. We try to strike a balance, colleagues. Thank you. So, Honourable Ndiomjenyi Roland.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. My name is Roland Ndiomjenyi, and I represent the people of Ruchiga. I rise on the matter of national importance regarding Balikudeme Market, formerly Owono Market. Recently, I have seen a letter purportedly from the President cancelling the title of the traders of St. Balikudembe. And Right Honourable, I beg to lay the purported letter on table. I've laid. Right Honourable Speaker,
just read the reference.
Oh, okay. The reference is
the date and the reference.
Is a letter to the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, dated 4th July 2022, regarding Owono Market. I beg to lay.
And signed by?
Signed by the President, Yoweri K. Museveni, and copied to so many ministers and the Vice President.
That's enough.
Yeah. Right Honourable Speaker, the title for this land, Balikudeme Market, was given to them in 2014 after there was a directive by the President himself that the traders should be given this land. There was also a report by the Attorney General indicating the procedures that had been followed for the traders to get this title. KCCA verified and updated the vendors register as directed by the President, and the list of the vendors, Right Honourable, is here, titled Solowa, St. Balikudembe Market Stores, Space, and Lock-up Shops Owners Association Limited, a list of verified register for all vendors. I beg to lay it on table, Right Honourable Speaker. After this lengthy process, Right Honourable Speaker, St. Valiko Market land was leased to St. Valiko Market Stores Space and Lock-up Shops Owners Association Limited, whose shareholding is unlimited, and that all vendors become shareholders as and when they want. The vendors and the traders applied for a lease. They paid a premium of 4 billion, and then later, KCCA, after all this, refused to give them the land. The traders went to court. They won the case. I have a compendium of all the documents, including the rulings. And after that, under pressure, they were able to transfer the title to the traders. However, KCCA frustrated the development of the market, and after the vendors, the traders had done their design after getting a developer, KCCA in 2019 deferred the decision to give them, to approve their plan, and that their design is here. I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker, the designs.
Is that a copy of what was submitted for approval?
Yes.
Is it stamped?
Yes, I beg to lay.
Okay.
The letter, therefore, in 2009, when the President gave them a go-ahead through a letter dated January 19, 2009, and gave them the leeway, gave them a go-ahead, approved their plans. That letter is also here, Right Honourable Speaker. And therefore, with all the court processes, with all the processes the traders went through to register their title, I think all of a sudden cancelling their title is very unfair to them, and it will be detrimental to them. I believe that the President has not been advised well on this matter, because I think he did not get all the information. When you read the letter, when you read one of the paragraphs from the letter that I see here, he says the 10-year probation is over, and yet it is KCCA that has frustrated the development of this market by failure to approve the plans. Okay. Therefore, my prayers, Right Honourable, yes. My prayers are that, one, this Parliament interests itself in this matter, because it is not only about the traders, it is a security matter, it can cause conflict. Therefore, the Minister of Land, Housing and Urban Development must come to this House and report about this issue. Secondly, the Attorney General should give us a position on the impact, the legal impact of this decision, so that we don't, the government does not lose money through litigation. The final prayer, Right Honourable Speaker, is that there is a person who has been named in the President's letter as having been the one who gave the information, and it's called, I think, Barondem something here. That person needs to be investigated to find out his interest in causing a conflict to the Kampala traders. I beg to submit, Right Honourable.
Thank you.
Barondem.
Thank you, Honourable colleagues.
I beg to lay all the other documents, including the court orders, the President's letter of 2009, and the ruling, and the Attorney General's report, which are all here.
Thank you. Honourable colleagues, the member came to me today. I had advised him that they do a petition, which I would send to the minister, but the president's letter says cancel. Okay? So when it says cancel, by the time you go through processes of a petition going on order paper, it might be overtaken by events. So that's why I allowed him to raise this matter. Now, Honourable Minister, I don't know, is there any useful information you can give us on this issue?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament and honourable colleagues. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to acknowledge that the letter is correct. I received the letter written by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, the land being talked about is manned by Kampala District Land Board. They have the role of knowing who will be using that land. And they are the people who offered the lease of 10 years to Slower. Right Honourable Speaker, the lease had conditions, only that I wasn't prepared to come with the lease document, but the lease had conditions, and according to Kampala District Land Board, the conditions of the lease were not met. Right Honourable Speaker, we all know very well that Kampala took over management of that market long time ago, KCCA. And they have been complaining about my ministry for not complying to cancel the titles. Since they took possession, even a big poster was put there saying that we have taken possession of the market. And His Excellency directed me to oversee the cancellation of that title. So, Right Honourable Speaker, it's what I'm implementing right now, and we got all the documents related to that piece of land. In case of any further information, they can contact me or my commissioner, land registration. Thank you, Right Honourable.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for the information. Now, Honourable Minister, this is the situation. Kampala Capital City Authority had vehemently refused and rejected any attempt by the traders to take the market. They vehemently contested the process. Please, colleagues, when they did that, the traders found their way. The president directed that they be given the title. Now, after being given title, the title had conditions of development within 10 years. That's what you've said. Now, in the 10 years, they were supposed to go back to the same KCCA for approval of the plan. So what KCCA did was that now it's our chance, you have come back here, frustrated the approval of the plan. After 10 years of frustrating the approval of a plan, same KCCA, 7 years, same KCCA now says you have not fulfilled terms of the lease. Okay? So I don't know, that's where I looked at it when the member brought it, and I said, hey, so they had a, so colleagues, what I'm going to do, Honourable Minister, thank you for the information, but as a presiding officer, what I'm going to do, a member has said, maybe the president was denied or was never given information as to why the development never took place, was never informed at the attempts to frustrate the development efforts, which included approval of the plan that KCCA refused to approve. So I'm going to bring this to the attention of His Excellency the President so that he can access this information. I'm going to inform him a member has raised ABCD. I attach all the documents. I send them to him. If they can help him in his own decision, the better. Okay? Ours will be to give him information which a member says the president was denied. Very simple. But that does not stop you as executive from doing your work. We cannot come in as executive to stop you from doing your work, but we can enable a member give the president the necessary information which he says the president never got. So tomorrow I will do that, and Honorable Minister, I will give you a copy. I believe that will help you and KCC to come to an amicable conclusion of this matter. So, colleagues, I've received information here from Honorable Johnny Taylor of sad news that we have lost a former member of parliament for Gabura North constituency in the 6th parliament, Honorable John Sebastian Majimbi, who has died today. So, as a tradition, please let's stand up and we pay respect to our colleague.
May the soul of the deceased rest in eternal peace.
So, Honorable Minister of Health, you had a procedure matter? Yes, Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate honorable members, but I want to bring to all our attention that when we come to this august house, we want to be assured of comfort and safety. Right Honorable Speaker, we are living in very difficult times when we have the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are all trying to keep safe. And in Uganda today, our vaccination coverage is nowhere near 70%. But when I look around, I see honorable members without masks. Some have masks around their chins. Others don't even know where their masks are. And yet others are religiously putting on their masks. Like you, Right Honorable Speaker, I have not even seen you remove yours. Is it procedurally right that some of us try our best to protect others while others don't care about the health of others? Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is pertinent, because we are in a closed environment with no free circulating air, that we all keep our masks on to protect one another. Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, the standard operating procedures we use here are set by the Minister of Health. It's the one with the mandate. The Minister allowed us to sit in more members, but she has been clear on the issue of the mask. So I request all of you colleagues to put on your masks. If you do not have a mask, I request that you try to find one so that we can go on with proceedings in the House. Please, I can see time, Honorable Osman, I can see time. Save me this time, okay? So, next item.
Item number 4 on the order paper. Action taken report on the recommendations of the House on the Naguru-Nakawa land allocations arising from the report of the ad hoc committee on Nakawa-Naguru land allocations.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Lands.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I want to thank you for the support you render the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. And I want to thank you for the guidance you normally give us. And I want also to thank Madam Right Honorable Speaker in her absentia for the continued support to the ministry. And I also thank the members of Parliament who have been in position to interact with us, but also guide us, especially the committees we work with. Right Honorable Speaker, yesterday I saw this matter on the order paper, and I want, Right Honorable Speaker, through you, to inform the House that as a ministry, we have not been in position to study the recommendations of the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, you remember this report was discussed towards the end of the session, and therefore, Parliament did not submit formally the recommendations of the committee to the ministry. It is only yesterday that informally, Right Honorable Speaker, I asked my staff to get a copy of the committee.
Right Honorable Speaker, I was in this house when that report was presented. Right Honorable Speaker, the front bench was present. The Learned Attorney General, I remember, was here, and some other ministers. When this report was unanimously adopted by this House, with amendments, the front bench undertook to study this report and report back to this House. In fact, even said in 2 months they would be coming to this House and report on the actions taken. Right Honorable Speaker, is the Minister for Lands in order to come before the House today and claim that as a ministry they were not aware? Is she in order?
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
She said they are not formally informed.
Colleagues, whenever resolutions of this House are made, they are communicated. The clerk extracts the report and the resolutions, and you remember even yesterday, because we usually make amendments, and they are scattered. So the clerk extracts the report and resolutions and sends to the relevant authority for action. Now, what I need to do is to verify with the clerk. Attending proceedings here is not enough. You must know. And also, that's why you see, whenever we make a communication here, we go on and we write. So we go on and write. I will need clerk to verify with the office of the clerk whether indeed we communicated resolutions of this House to the minister. Because sometimes we communicate and they say we did not. So I need to verify. And if we didn't, then I'll give my guidance. Because you see, colleagues, please, we are readers in this House. We want follow. We want, you know, this is something you reach in court and someone says procedurally you did not submit it. Here we are lucky, we can make our decision. That's why I have said I want to first verify with the management of this House whether indeed we submitted these resolutions. No, there is no small procedure issue. Procedure is procedure. Yeah. Honorable Bakaburind, then I allow Honorable Chimosho. Then I'll come here. Let me just allow a few colleagues on this matter. In the meantime, as they verify for us.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, in your communication, you said you are going to find out if the clerk communicated to the relevant ministry. And I'm very much aware, Mr. Speaker, that before anything comes on the order paper, the clerk plays a very big role. There is no way the clerk will put it on the order paper if he had not communicated. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the minister, if I got her English well, she said they got, but they have not got time to pass through the report. That means they have already received. No, Right Honorable Speaker, we need to be serious. You had the letter which was submitted to you yesterday. She's going ahead to implement other structures. That means they are not following the decision of the parliament. Let the minister explain this. Either they are going to follow the decision of the parliament or not.
She has to explain, honorable member. The minister has to explain. That one, there is no question. The Honorable Chimosho.
Thank you very much.
And Honorable Kaburindi, to make it easy for you. That's why I have said, let me clarify, let me cross-check with the clerk. It takes around 10-15 minutes. I have gotten information. Yeah. Yes, Honorable Chimosho.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I really want to request the minister to be very specific. I have seen a letter making rounds, giving instructions contrary to the report as tabled by the ad hoc committee. And Right Honorable Speaker, why I'm seeking for this clarification is that we shall go on record as this parliament that we wasted taxpayers' money on things that we knew would not achieve or even implement. That is one. Two, Right Honorable Speaker, I really want to put ourselves on alert that if such things continue, we are only making an emphasis in bold that this parliament is a barking dog that does not bite. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I request, and this goes down to each and every committee of this parliament. That's why we're talking about approving loans and they are not performing. This is why we're talking about passing resolutions and they don't come to forth. And I can tell you, Right Honorable Speaker, if we proceed on this trajectory, every Ugandan would be telling you that those are just for just. Right Honorable Speaker, I think this matter, and I'm not putting it to my sister alone, I think this is a matter that we should deliberately resolve. Or we tell Ugandans that we are good for not doing anything. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chimosho. Yesterday I had allowed Honorable Aisha Kabanda. She had risen up on the procedure matter, and I said when the matter comes on substantively, I will allow her to raise procedure, and it's in relation to what Honorable Chimosho has raised. So, Honorable Aisha Kabanda.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleague, Honorable Dan just referred to a flying letter. For avoidance of referring to a flying letter, I pray, Right Honorable Speaker, that you allow me lay on table a letter that is written by Honorable Nabakova, the Honorable Minister of Lands, Housing, and Urban Development, titled Land for MA's Internal Medicine of Virginia Limited, Plot 25 to 50 Nagu Road, Kampala. It's being addressed to the Inspector General of Police, Police Headquarters, Kampala, and the date is 12th July 2022. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay this table. Okay.
Honorable-
I'll read the content.
Please, Honorable, it's only the presiding officer that can allow you to read. I don't know whom you're listening to. Huh? You're listening to many voices here. But go on and read it.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. As mentioned earlier, Right Honorable Speaker, the subject is land for MS Internal Medicine of Virginia Limited, plot 25 to 50 Nagu Road, Kampala. And it says, I received a telephone communication on the 7th July 2022 from His Excellency the President directing that you provide security to MS Internal Medicine of Virginia Limited to enable them take possession and develop the land leased to the company by Uganda Land Commission with immediate effect. The land is comprised in plot 25 to 50 Nagu Road, Kampala, capital city. By copy of this letter, all relevant government agencies are requested to provide the investor the necessary support and cooperation. Signed, Judith Nabakova, Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. And it is copied to the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Minister for Kampala Capital and Metropolitan Affairs, Ministers of State, Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Chairperson, Uganda Land Commission, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Office of the President, Principal Private Secretary, Executive Director, Kampala Capital City Authority, Secretary, Uganda Land Commission, MS Internal Medicine of Virginia Limited. I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Is the letter stamped? Does it have a received stamp?
The letter is stamped and it has a received stamp, sir.
From which? From where?
From the Office of the Minister of State, Housing. It's dated, the stamp is dated 12th July 2022. Right Honorable.
Okay.
I beg to lay, Right Honorable
Please.
Speaker. Right Honorable
No,
Speaker.
She's still on procedure. She's still
Yes.
on procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker, what prompted me to bring this matter on procedure is the fact that this House had directed that the agreement that was giving Virginia, International Virginia Limited, whatever it is, should be rescinded on ground that the committee had discovered that actually Virginia does not exist. We looked for Virginia in vain, and the Land Commission also conceded, while they appeared to the committee, that they actually never interfaced with Virginia at all before they gave them the land. They allocated them this land, 15 acres, only on the directive of the President.
Honorable, you're repeating the contents of the report. So I
Yes.
just want you to go to your procedure matter.
Mr. President.
No, I'm not yet at that level.
Okay.
Honorable Aisha.
Right.
Honorable member, you're protected.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The procedural matter, therefore.
Honorable member, you're protected.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You should have said that you take it in God's name. But I know many people fear to take over presidency. Right, Honorable Speaker, are we therefore proceeding well to be seated with the executive members here in Parliament who decide to defy the directives and the resolutions of Parliament with impunity? Are we proceeding well?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable Member. Before I give guidance on this, Honorable Minister of Lands, is this your letter? And why are letters from your offices circulating around, you know?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I confirm that it is my letter. Yes.
Thank you.
How it got onto the social media, Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is a subject of investigation. But I confirm that it is my letter. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of Parliament, with all the due respect, as I was beginning earlier on, I told you that I respect this House with all my heart. And I want to confirm to you again,
each
Right
one
Honorable
has
Speaker
their opinion.
and members,
So, yeah.
that the recommendations of the committee are going to be studied.
No, let's
They are
first go
going
on
to be
the,
studied
we are
and
still
we
on
shall
the
come
letter.
with a report.
Honourable Minister, we are still on the letter. Because
letter I
you
have
see,
confirmed.
the letter is implementing.
Yes,
So,
and I was...
And the member is saying, your actions are defying the resolutions of this House. So that's what I expected you. That's why I would expect you to clarify, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. On defiance, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I want to say, quoting Article 117 of the Constitution, that I'm directly responsible to the guidance of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, but also accountable, yes, and also accountable to Parliament.
The problem, Honourable Minister, take your seat.
Right Honorable Speaker,
First
I
take your
was
seat, Honourable. First take your seat, Domin. Take your seat. Now, colleagues, I think the problem we have here, we don't want to listen to each other. To me, you allow a member to speak, then you rebuttal. I will give you a chance. But now, someone has not yet finished speaking. You want someone to be stopped, you don't want someone to be heard. Now, if a member cannot be heard on the floor, where will they be heard from? No, then that one we shall also allow you to clarify it, Honourable. Okay? So please, Honourable Minister, conclude on what you are saying, and then we shall allow colleagues to give their opinion.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would say that when I got the executive instructions, my work was to relay the same to the officers responsible to enable the investor access land that had been allocated. Right Honorable Speaker, that's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Honorable Cooper?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, let me just say, I wish they stop disturbing the Speaker such that the Speaker can rule very well.
Please go on.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, just a few minutes ago, the honorable colleague here from Ruchiga laid a letter where the president was directing the title to be cancelled of Owino. The minister up to now has not implemented that. Now there is a letter, not even a letter from the president. This time is a telephone call, which we cannot confirm whether it was there or not, which is quoting in the letter, saying, give this land, this plot to this company. The minister has acted so fast in contravening the letter of the conversation of the directive, contradicting the first one of Baluku Dembe, where it was written. Now this one here, she's gone very ahead to implement. But Right Honorable Speaker, on the recommendations and appearing on this committee resolution regarding this specific company, if I remember very well, the report says Uganda Land Commission leadership arranged to have this discussion with this company directives on Zoom. They never showed up. They said Honorable Betty Kamia gave them a name of a contact of Mr. Farouk, who is a Ugandan. And they did call that number, no one could pick it. They put the advert in the newspapers, inviting people to appear to defend. They never showed. They looked into the file, there was no any other document except the application. So this was a briefcase company, according to the report. Now, if the minister received a call from the president, what was it so hard for her to explain to the president that this company, from the report, because she interacted with, she was also asked, understand, that have you met these people? From the report, they said she has never met them. But now, the minister has come awarding, providing security to this shadow company. It defeats one's understanding. So, because even if there was a directive from the president, the minister is there to guide. They say, please, there is A, B, C, D. Now, if the company is non-existent, whom are we giving this?
So, Honorable, your procedure?
So, is it procedural right for the minister who told the committee that they have never met these people? She also doesn't know. To go ahead now to provide security to a shadow company or non-existent company, is it procedural right to move that way? Thank you, right.
Thank you. So, colleagues, I'm going to make my guidance on this matter. Number one, resolutions of Parliament must be respected and implemented. And as the leadership of Parliament, we shall do whatever within our means to ensure that this is done. Number two, the findings about this company, Virginia, were very clear. We tried our level best. The chair and the team did all they could, but it's difficult to get a ghost. These guys were ghosts, according to our findings. Because we requested in every way to see this group, nothing. Even said come on Zoom, at least to bring, even send a lawyer or bring anyone, nothing. So, but colleagues, when you're faced with such a matter, it's not emotions that help you or guide you as a house to make decisions. You elected your leaders in the house. Your leaders are supposed to do public relations for you. Your leaders are supposed to do engagements on your behalf and report back to you. They shouldn't remain in our boardroom. On this matter, specific matter, since they are quoting the president, who is not here? Yes. What if someone, yeah, the president, we know the president has given us many directives in writing. This one they are quoting a telephone. As the leadership of Parliament, we are going to reach out to His Excellency the President. Over this matter, number one, we bring to him the attention of the report that was passed by this House and the resolutions thereto. Number two, we clearly explain to him how we feel that the action is being taken are aimed at frustrating the work of this Parliament, and the results of our engagement will be communicated to you. Please, that's very, very clear. That one I will do tomorrow. I will communicate that tomorrow. And next week, we have access to His Excellency the President. And that's why we are leaders. So let us do that so that we have a meeting of minds. we don't benefit from situations which show we are competing or we are trying to show who is more authoritative or not. Let's focus on the results of whatever we are doing. So with that, I go to the next item. It's already the Prime Minister's time. So
item number 7.
I've guided on this issue, please. Yes, I've guided on this issue. Next item. No, there's no escaping. Next week we are here.
Item 7, Prime Minister's time.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Sylvia Bahireira MP Kamwenge asked the Prime Minister, asked me, one, Kenya and Tanzania have accused Uganda of stalling a $60 billion trade plan on Lake Victoria, which would be a big boost to the region's economy. She was asking me to know the status of Kakata Port project, which is part of this trade plan. Honourable Speaker and colleagues, Bukakata Port project has 3 phases, namely phase 1, the preparation phase. Phase 2 is the physical construction phase, and 3 is the expansion phase. Currently, government has commenced with the first phase, which includes construction of the main access roads, that is Kinawataka Bukakata Road. Then completion of the feasibility study is done. The environmental and social impact assessment has also been completed. The completion of the settlement action plan, the port design and the master plan for Bukakata Port is now in place. Then the compensation of 1,750 out of 1,958 project affected persons, representing 89%, is done. And finally, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the first phase is scheduled to be completed in June 2023, and thereafter commencement of the second phase, which includes the construction of the shipyard and the floating dock. The Honourable Samuel Achut, Kore North District. Kore District. There are 3 years ago, the government launched the rehabilitation of 375 kilometer Tororo Mbale Lira Kore Guru meter gauge railway line. The project was to be funded through a grant provided by the European Union. It was expected that by the year 2022, the rehabilitation would have been completed. And this line would form a vital transport corridor connecting Ugandan exports to South Sudan, DRC, and Kenya. However, to date, according to the Honourable, there is hardly any work going on. And he was asking the status of the rehabilitation of this railway line. And of course, he wanted to know the amount of money. And he was wondering whether the money is diverted. That Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this project covers 375 kilometers and is part of a bigger program named the Development Initiative for Northern Uganda, DINU, co-funded between the government of Uganda contributing 55.4% and the European Union contributing 44.6%. The total contract sum is 39 6.34 million euros. The project actual physical progress, Right Honourable Speaker, is at 9.2. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, funds were not diverted. The project is expected to be completed by August 2023. Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Nsamba, Member of Parliament, Kassanda North County, Kassanda District, he asked a question that for the last 2 weeks there has been massive vandalism of over 17 boreholes in Kassanda, North Kassanda District by unknown people, which has led to the scarcity of water in the area. And he was like, he asked what are the steps the Ministry of Water and Environment has taken to restore and assess the clean water in the area. Right Honourable Speaker, due to poor quality of water that Kassanda Town Council borehole was then producing, Midwestern umbrella organization was subcontracted by the Ministry of Water and Environment after it was decided to stop water production from the same borehole and embarked on drilling a new borehole. The contractor MSR Technologies Limited was contracted to drill the new borehole, and the drilling is now complete. Pumping and testing of the water is still ongoing. Right Honourable Speaker, the supply in Kassanda Town Council is still low. Currently, there is high demand of clean and safe water in the district. Right Honourable Speaker, you will recall that yesterday is when this question came. Soon after Parliament yesterday, I got in touch with the Ministry of Water, informed them of this problem. Today, the Ministry has sent engineers to Kassanda to assess the level of damage so that the supply of water in those vandalized boreholes is restored. And in Kassanda, there are two types of boreholes. One, the one I talked about, the piped one, nearing completion, managed by Midwestern Umbrella Organization. Then the other ones are run by the water user committees elected from among the communities. The other question was, can government institute and investigate and get the cause of the theft to ensure that this does not happen again? Right Honourable Speaker, Kassanda Police Station has opened up a general inquiry file to investigate the matter, and the members of public are urged to go and report cases of vandalism. The District Security Committee, together with officials from the Ministry of Water, remember the engineers I've talked about, are conducting community meetings to sensitize people to be vigilant and report any suspected cases of vandalism. I am directing the Inspector General of Police to send a special investigation team to reinforce the other one of the district. Honourable Speaker, today, the District Security Committee, comprising of RDC, DISO, and many others, including those engineers, are in Makokoto sub-county conducting a sensitization meeting. The Honourable Dorcas Achan, Woman MP Aleptong, this is question number 5, Right Honourable Speaker. He said that foreign direct investment into domestic structures, equipment, and organization is a key driver in economic growth in any developing country's balance of payment position. She asked that to what extent has Uganda, as a developing country, utilized FDIs as a strategy for economic improvement? Honourable Speaker, government over the years has put in place mechanisms for improving the business environment to facilitate investment. For example, the Investment Code Act was revised in 2019, and provides for Uganda Investment Authority as the one-stop center. While tax laws are often updated to reflect international best practices. In addition, infrastructure development, including road network, utilities, and ICT have equally been prioritized, especially in the industrial parks and free trade zones. These are some of the factors that have made Uganda a competitive investment destination, leading to increasing foreign direct investment. Honorable Speaker, foreign direct investment inflows have significantly grown from US dollars 1 million in 1991 to US dollars 874 million in 2020. Foreign direct investment firms have played a key role in contributing towards economic development through enhancing technological transfer, job creation, capital accumulation, increased value and volume exports, improved balance of payment. In addition, foreign direct investment provides for financial, human, and technological resources, and these are required to promote domestic investment, domestic private investments. This is critical for our industrialization agenda. Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Now, since we amended our rules, we allow some questions directed to you. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I was excited today. All members were coming and saying, for us, we want the Prime Minister. So, and you're here, and you're going to respond to them. Because it seems now whenever you talk, things are done. Colleagues, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have law students from King Caesar University. They are here on a study tour of Parliament and are represented by Honorable Derek Nyeko and Honorable Shamim Marende. They have also come to observe the proceedings of this House. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. This is your Parliament. Anytime you are welcome. So I'm going to allow a few questions to the Prime Minister. I'll start with Honorable Leku Joel, followed by Honorable Tamaguse. RP Kumar. Please be short and precise.
Okay. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. My question is to the Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, there's escalating crisis at the border of Terego and the Marun Okolo districts, arising over the boundary between the two districts and collection of marketed deals at Otea Market in Terego district. Right Honorable Prime Minister, you are aware that the two parties had a meeting with you on 11 February 2022 in your office together with the Minister for Local Government. The meeting resolved that the status quo should remain and the Minister for Local Government will go to the contested area as soon as possible. You even indicated that if the Minister for Local Government does not go, you'll go yourself. 5 months down the road, both of you have not gone on the ground. As a result, people are still fighting over the land and the market. Right Honorable Prime Minister, both Terego and Marokolo districts wrote to the Minister of Lands requesting to carry out reaffirmation of the borders. And over the time, the reports of 2014, 2020, and the recent one of 2022 all indicated that the contested area is in Terego district. Right Honorable Prime Minister, there is issue of service delivery and PDM for the people in the contested area. Which districts will budget for them for health, education, PDM, and the collection of taxes? Right Honorable Prime Minister, strangely enough, there was a deployment of UPDF alongside the police on 4th July at your chair, Trading Center, and on the 6th July 2020, 6 people were arrested and moved to Ribo.
Honorable colleague, please.
Then to Madi.
Make it very easy, prayers.
Let me do the prayer.
Yeah.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in these circumstances, there's a real danger of people beating themselves because of inaction of the Prime Minister and the Minister for Local Government. My prayers are, governments will release the reports as submitted by means of land and urban development in 2014, 2020, and 2022, immediately to resolve the border issues. The people arrested from Terego, taken to Madokolo, should be fully acquainted. UPDF should be withdrawn from the site. The people of Terego should be allowed to collect the market dues at Ocha Market. The minister should state where the conflicting villages from the border are going to benefit from government services, including Paris development model. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Right Honourable Prime Minister, if you don't mind, they would create for you a seat around there in the meantime, so that you don't.
Right Honourable Speaker, moving there side and here is part of my exercise.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of Madiokoro and Terego came to my office. And indeed, we had a meeting between the ministries of local government, and my brother is here. The issue of boundaries in that area is a long time problem. Now, I request that you allow me, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, to go to Terego. I will go there myself.
Thank you.
And solve that problem.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you. Honourable Tamaguza, I had picked you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, Right Honourable Prime Minister. Right Honourable Speaker and Right Honourable Prime Minister, I'm the Vice Chairperson, Local Government Public Accounts Committee. We've interacted with almost all districts of Uganda. Please listen. As a committee of Local Government Public Accounts Committee, we've interacted, we've moved all districts of Uganda, but most government seed secondary schools don't have teachers. Those who have teachers have 2, 1, 3, yet it is a very, very big government project. So I wanted to know through my prayer, Right Honourable Prime Minister, when is this program being thought about by government such that at least as a government does not have such kind of burden, and including even the schools that have been affected. So when is the recruitment starting? We want to know when the recruitment will start, such that at least such schools which are affected, including parents, including government, such that it can also be thought about. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I want to thank the member for the question, because even yesterday, but one, that question came. So I took trouble, Right Honourable Speaker, and inquired from Minister of Education what is happening. Right Honourable Speaker, currently, as I talk now, there are interviews going on in the Ministry of Education, and those schools will get teachers.
Thank you. Honourable Koryang, Honourable Pachuto, and then Honourable Sasaga, and then Sasaga. Koryang, Pachuto, Sasaga. Colleagues, I'll give you a chance.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, on the 12th of July 2022, several herds of elephants wandered out of Kidepo National Game Park and destroyed over 4,000 acres of maize crop in the districts of Karenga and Kabong. And 2 2 people were killed in the process of trying to scare away the elephants. And my questions for the Prime Minister are, can we, as government, can government make good for the losses that the people of Karenga and Kabong have suffered as a result of destruction of their crops by the elephants? Number 2, in the short term, can government make measures to ensure that the remaining crops, the maize crops, cannot be destroyed, so that we avert a situation like that what is happening in Karamoja now? And as you respond, I would love to hear when this is going to happen, so that as I go back to the district, when I'm doing the mobilization for PDM, I should be able to give them feedback. Thank you.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister? Colleagues, we are moving quickly. I can see we'll be able to take many questions.
Right, Honourable Speaker, it is true we got reports that the districts of Kidepo and Karenga have their crops destroyed. In the, like we told you last Tuesday, that all those districts that are in the national parks, neighboring national parks, will get electric fences. And this parliament budgeted and appropriated the money to do that under the Ministry of Tourism. Honourable Speaker, in the short term, there is food going to Kidepo today as I talk now. We have provided the food that is going to, in the short term, but in the long term we shall have to fence off that area. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honourable Pachuto.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, the government of Uganda has recently launched the parish development model, which is a key driver to socioeconomic transformation of the poor in this country. Right Honourable Speaker, however, and first of all I want to thank the Right Prime Minister. I know she is a very good supporter of the parish development model, very passionate like I am. But Right Honourable Speaker, over the years, I've reported in this House the fact that part of the people of Pakwach who live east of the Nile in Noya district have been faced with eviction from their land, historical land. And on the 21st of May, 2020, this culminated into death of 5 people. And Parliament then directed a response from government, and this was housed in the office of the Prime Minister, and then who instituted a committee of 3 ministers that were supposed to investigate and report to this House. This violent, forceful eviction has continued on the people of Pakwach, who are supposed to participate in the parish development model as well, but do not have land now because they are being forcefully evicted by land grabbers. I would like to know from our very good Prime Minister, very passionate, a very good mobilizer for the parish development model, what her office can do to the people of the unfortunate people of Pakwach, who are very eager to participate in this parish development model.
Thank you.
I have written to the Minister of Lands over 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I have not got any communication from her. Thank you very much.
Is already captured. Right, Honourable Prime Minister. Colleagues, let's be short and precise. Then we allow more colleagues. I would want to pick as more colleagues as possible.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable for the question. The district of Pakwach and the people of Pakwach must benefit from this program. I want to institute another investigating team into the matter. As of now, I think I will get in touch with a colleague so that we get to know the ministers who were in that committee instituted by the former Prime Minister, so that I know where to begin from.
Thank you.
Then lastly, there are so many enterprises that we put in place. They can lay a chicken, and chicken does not need a big area. Even if you are in a rented place, you can lay a chicken. There are those in cities who are going to do small businesses. And we still have a Myoga. We still have so many programs. Let Honorable Speaker, I will get in touch with the Honorable, and together we shall get the way forward.
Thank you, Right Honorable Sasaga. Honorable Sasaga.
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the National Scouts land at Kazi, which was acquired in 1932, it has all the legal documents. The first site acquired in 1948. It was renewed in 1998, running up to 2097. Is under serious attack by the mafias. If you visit Kazi, all the secretariat is very intimidated. The land has been grabbed. Buildings are coming up day and night. Some of the grabbers are generals. Others are Chinese who are well protected under the Smart Projects company. Right Honorable Prime Minister, are you aware of those developments in the Kazi? Number two, when are you visiting Kazi to ensure there is sanity over this national land for scouts? And more so, camping of the scouts is soon, which is coming in the next month. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister. No, there is no information on question, please. It's not there.
Let Honorable Speaker and colleagues, government came up with a directive from Cabinet to protect all our government land across the country. And I'm chairing that committee. The Minister of Lands is part of that committee, the Attorney General, and we are coming up with regulations. The land of government and these other institutions must be protected. Colleagues, we shall now invite you in our committee so that you give us details, and these details will help us now to see how now to move. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
But Right Honorable Prime Minister, he says people as we talk now, maybe in the meantime you can send the Minister of Lands to go on the ground.
That's why I like you, Right Honorable Speaker. Now, Right Honorable Speaker, now with the powers entrusted in me by the President, I am directing you, Madam.
Thank you. So, Masaka, Anthony Senu, and Angura Frederick. Prime Minister, you can say, add us another 10 minutes. We are doing quick.
Thank you.
Prime Minister should add us 10 minutes. You can say everyone wants a piece of you. It's rare for people to be loved this way. It means people believe in your answers. Yes, Masaka? Oh, woman MP Masaka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I wish to request the Prime Minister to tell us the specific time when the new constructed CD school will be in full operation. Because today, Right Honorable Speaker, I've seen a communication from the Minister of Finance that those schools will be in a full operation in October. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Very good. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank my sister from Masaka. In fact, it is her question she asked yesterday that led me to get this information that government is recruiting teachers. So, Madam, the schools, it is true the schools will be full operational by that time. Because that, you know, the way we send money in quarters. So, currently, like I've already told you, they are recruiting teachers. As I talk now, teachers are in interviews.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, colleagues, you've seen how the question from the woman MP Masaka has liberated all of us, because we've gotten very important information. Anthony?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, through you, let me address the Prime Minister. Madam Prime Minister, allow me first to thank government for responding to the cry of people of Kapelebyong and Teso with respect to the deployment of UPDF. That resulted in pacification of most of our district, and raiding stopped immediately. Thank you very much for your response as government and to the UPDF.
Please, honorable member, ask a question.
Yes, it's related, Right Honorable Speaker. As we talk right now, in the last 2 weeks, there has been a resumption of raiding by the rustlers. And some people have been killed, and I want to find out whether the government is planning to beef up the UPDF in Kapelebyong, put in place the barracks that we requested for, but also put in the roads to provide security access for the UPDF, who right now, most of whom are poorly facilitated in terms of transportation, food, communication. Is there any plan for government to improve their services? Number two, in that motion on the floor of this House, the Speaker requested that government should come after every 2 weeks to update this House and Uganda on the progress that's being made to pacify Karamoja and all the surrounding districts. And since then, there has been no effort, at least based my knowledge, for that to be done. Can you advise when that can happen? And finally,
No, Honorable, stop there. Let's
thank you.
Prime Minister.
Most obliged.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this question came yesterday. Let me give you the same answer. Right Honorable Speaker, government has put aside money to work on security roads. This money is already with the Ministry of Works. Yesterday, we met with the members of Karamoja sub-region, members of parliament, and we agreed that even those roads that were left out and are crucial, they should be included. And two, a lot of deployment has taken place in that area. And that's why you see there is some relative peace. We shall continue to deploy until when Karamoja and the neighboring districts are safe. Thank you so much.
I had already picked Tangura. Now, colleagues, the Prime Minister had only 15 minutes. And these are in rules. I'm just begging her for a few minutes. She has already given me a few minutes, but she still has a long program on the order paper. So I really do not want to break the rules by putting a Prime Minister beyond what she's able to do as provided for in our rules. So I'm stopping with Honorable Angura on questions. I know I had promised colleagues, I had written Nakaseke, Dr. Bwanika, Dr. Yume, Veronica, Atima, but colleagues, time. I have to work within the rules. That's what I have. That's what the law gives me. Yes, Honorable Atima, you're the final one on this.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, during the onset of COVID, borders were closed, and Malaba border was among those that were closed. However, as time progressed, the borders were opened. Unfortunately, the community border gate remains closed. Number two, we had a crisis that emanated from congestion at the border, again in Malaba, when the fuel truck drivers protested. And you went to the border, Madam Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, you went to the border and instituted a directive that empty trucks that are supposed to be exiting Uganda be diverted to the border at Ruakaka to enable the fuel trucks cross. That has since been overtaken by events. When are the empty trucks going to resume their normal crossing at the border, since it has become a cost to transporters who are forced to go so many kilometers, which is an increase in doing business? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I have been in touch with my brother Angura, and I want to inform you, honourable members, that the official gate is open and working 24 hours. These community roads, which he's talking about, will be handled from one area to another, because even in Busia, we have the same issue. The Ruakaka empty trucks that pass through Ruakaka, we have talked about this with my brother. We continue to pursue this because accordingly, there are those trucks that are, say like these ones of clinkers. It is very far for them to go through Ruakaka. We are handling this matter. The challenge was we were still fearing to have another clog of trucks on that border. But I think now that the flow of vehicles is smooth, we shall, together with my brother and UNRWA, go and handle this conclusively.
Colleagues, the Prime Minister, according to our rules, has 15 minutes for questions of oral answer, but she has given us 30, so she has been generous. I don't want to abuse her generosity. Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Yes, the question by the Honourable Sylvia is a very good question, Mr. Speaker, sir. Kenya and Tanzania have accused Uganda of stalling a $60 billion trade plan. And I think Uganda is perfecting the habit of stalling very important projects, including the standard gauge railway, Mr. Speaker, sir. Ever since Kenya started and reached Naivasha, you are even aware, Madam Prime Minister, that Kenya has donated to Uganda at Naivasha. And being a member of the budget committee, you went there to see a vast expanse of land. But up to now, not even a toilet, not even a pit latrine has been developed on that plot. And we are taking ages, nothing. There is no sign to show that there are any efforts towards commencing on this project of the standard gauge railway. And the one on Lake Victoria up to Wukasa Port would even be in line with the metropolitan plan of KCCA to decongest Kampala of this challenge of traffic jam. But of the three phases, we are still in the preparation phase. And I don't think we shall easily graduate to the second phase. The other question on the meter gauge railway. Right Honourable Prime Minister, this question you mentioned of a contract sum of 39.34 million euros. But the member says there is nothing on site. It seems the contractor is hardly there, or thin, or absent. That's why it's blowing a whistle. That could be the funds have been diverted. You better conduct some investigation into that one. Madam Prime Minister, I'm concluding almost. Kasanda is complaining of 17 boreholes that have been vandalized. And the ministry is offering to only drill one in replacement of the 17. But where you come out accurately correct is when you say it is today that you have dispatched a team, interministerial team, to assess the level of destruction or damage, and maybe you'll get a better report on a way forward. Lastly, you gave a good exposition on the foreign direct investment, but only fell short on mentioning which one you are executing. Is it equity capital? Is it reinvested earnings? Or is it intra-company loans? Thank you very much.
Information, Right Honorable Speaker.
Oh, come on, please. Who is that?
Information.
Please. Who is that? Please, Honorable, take your seat. Please. Number one, you don't speak in the microphone before you're allowed by the speaker. Okay? Then, question is raised to the Prime Minister. You don't add on any other question. They don't attract supplementary question. Number two, information is for a member holding the floor. Okay? But under Rule 41, sub-rule 9 of our Rules of Procedure, where the leader of opposition was speaking from, the leader of opposition only comments or replies if there was anything to him. And the Prime Minister does not need to go back and explain anything. So your information does not fit anywhere in the current circumstances on the floor. Okay? That's it, Honorable. So, Clerk, let us first handle item number 6 before we go back to number 5. That the Prime Minister.
Item number 6 on the order paper, government business for the succeeding week, 19th to 21st July 2022.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I move under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure that requires me as leader of government business to make a statement in this House regarding government business of the succeeding week. Below is the business for the succeeding week. 1, motion to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for clear and precise exposition of government policy contained in the State of the Nation address to Parliament of Uganda on Tuesday, 7th June 2022. Number 2, the status of COVID pandemic in the country. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Right Honourable Prime Minister, I will request you to also consider bringing the motion congratulating our leaders at the Pan-African Parliament so that we can have it next week, because I had promised colleagues that it would be today. So it will be very important. Today, Honourable Watkins, you're raising procedure casually, so I will not allow you. No. You are the way you are seated and very comfortable. I don't want to disturb your peace. Item number 5.
Item 5 on the order paper. 5.1, statement by the Minister. Statement by the Prime Minister on government's provision of food to the starving communities in Uganda.
Right Honourable Prime Minister. It was you to update the House, but if you've nominated any of your ministers, we are glad. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, the information paper seeks to address Parliament on the response interventions by government towards the various disasters in Toroko, Kasese, and Karamoja. Right Honorable Speaker, as you may be aware, on the devastating floods that submerged parts of Toroko, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, accompanied by the Minister of State for Relief, Disaster Preparedness, and Refugees, visited Toroko district. Thereafter, we conducted sensitization on communities to relocate from the affected areas to safer areas and also water received. Relief and non-food items have been continuously sent to the flooded affected people, communities. 10 acres of land for settlement of the most affected communities that were trapped in Rangara Parish, Kanahara Sub-County was identified in Kanahara Town Council. It is to be plotted and also the people being moved into these plots. The trapped people in the Ramara Parish were registered in biometric and ready to move. There were 66 households in this parish. Affected communities in the camps have been sensitized and also given returning to the flooded areas and still patiently waiting for government for a lasting solutions of their plight. A new health center 3 is being constructed at a safer location after the flooding zone of the Lake Albert. People are generally moved out of the camps. There are approximately less than 1,000 people remaining. It is difficult to establish where these people are going. Most of the people that were in the camps were migrants who had come around Kanahara for economic ventures. On the need for the long-term strategic plan for emergencies and also multi-sectoral approach to disaster management. A disaster risk management plan was developed following the directive of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, and this was also presented this week to Cabinet and approved. Response on the floods of parts of Kasese district due to overflowing of River Nyamwanja, Rubihira, and Nyamugasani, and the need for the government to provide emergency relief aid and also devise a lasting solution on these recurrent matters. Right Honorable Speaker, relief food was delivered by the ministry under the Office of the Prime Minister in January 2022. That was 13,800 kilograms of maize flour. In May 2022, we also delivered 20,000 kilograms of maize flour and 10,000 kilograms of beans. Land for Kasese flood victims has been procured. Ministry of Water and Environment has started distilling along River Nyamwamba, especially in the areas at a very high risk of flooding, and this has been funded by World Bank. On the situation of Karamoja, 517,800 people, representing 41% of the population, have been at a risk of food insecurity between March, July 2022. Majority of these households, that's 80%, reported food shocks would last a month or less. Only 3% of the households had stocks last for more 3 months. There has been increased food insecurity in 2022 at 41%, compared to 2021 at 30% and 2020 at 27%. Worst affected districts are Kotido, Kabong, Moroto. In the cabinet meeting held on the 10th of July 2022, directed release of 135.2 billion to persons affected by food insecurity in Karamoja sub-region for a period of 3 months. 1,590 metric tons of maize and 795 metric tons of beans have been delivered so far to the region during the month of April. I repeat, during the month of April and the month of June 2022. An appeal by the Right Honorable Prime Minister was made to donors and development partners to respond to food insecurity in Karamoja sub-region. That is highly affected. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'm trying to see if there is an MP from Karamoja standing up on this matter, or from Kasese, from the affected areas. Let me first allow Karamoja on this matter. I will allow only 3 people on this matter. We go to the malaria statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the food security situation in the region is a big challenge. You have heard Kotido has been mentioned among the most affected districts. In fact, the statistics that we have...
Put on your mask.
The statistics that we have as per this morning is the numbers, for example, of dead people in Kotido has gone to 380. And the general situation is such that there is even no hope, because the weather patterns seem to have changed. The rains have not come at a point when people are supposed to be harvesting. Government might need to even think of a further more sustainable and long-term intervention that should bring an end to the challenges of food insecurity. I think it's important that our MDAs sit to plan to look at the best option, because we cannot rely on the rain patterns as already indicated. So we need to think of the most strategic way that people can sustainably be productive and forget about the issues of hunger.
Thank you. Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to begin by thanking government for procuring land for the flood victims in Kasese. I think to us, the people of Kasese, this is our July gift from government. We want to thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of distilling the rivers. Desilting the rivers.
Yeah.
Most of the work is mainly on River Nyamwamba, and the other rivers, Right Honorable Speaker, have been forgotten. Right Honorable Speaker, the other rivers, for example, River Muvuku, River Nyamugasana, and the River Ruviriha, still continue to be a problem. My prayer, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is that concentration should not only be on River Nyamwamba, but also the other rivers should also be taken care of. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, no, I will allow Honorable Gilbert Oranya on this matter.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister and the Minister in charge of disaster. I would like the Office of the Prime Minister to be on notice that the starvation and famine this time round is not going to be only in Karamoja. Right Honorable Speaker, this time round, the patterns of rainfalls in northern Uganda and countrywide has changed. The climate has changed drastically. For us in Acholi sub-region, most of the crops that were planted, they are all dried. It means in 3 to 4 months to come, famine is going to be countrywide. I pray, Right Honorable Prime Minister, at this time, let us plan how to help our people countrywide. It's better we prepare now before we see people dying. And in Karamoja, Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of Karamoja needs to be seen properly. And we call upon the Minister in charge of Health to take interest in Karamoja. Because normal human being cannot be killed about 300 to 400 people just because of anger. It means there are underlying factors that are killing people apart from starvation. Right, Honourable Speaker, we need to take this matter very seriously. It is true, lack of food may reduce the immunity in the body, and any other sickness that may come will kill the person very easily. So you direct the Minister of Health, let them take interest in Karamoja so that our people are helped. Right, Honourable Speaker, let me take the information from the...
No.
Okay.
No, please. You can't...
As I wind up...
No.
Thank you. Let me wind up, Right, Honourable Speaker.
Please, Honourable Gilbert, sit. You've
Thank
used
you.
more than 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right, Honourable Speaker.
Yes. Colleagues, government already has taken interest in Karamoja. Because this statement, I think, has been very clear, and it was for information purposes. So let me conclude with Kabura.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to thank the Minister for the statement, but I wanted to inform her that the central region, specifically my county, we had an attack of armyworm, and it attacked gardens. Some farmers did not get a good harvest, and they are now doing badly. I would request that if she's considering food relief, specifically for hunger-stricken areas, Kabura County should be considered. Thank you so much. Right.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, these were issues of where you take note, and thank you for the statement. Right Honourable Prime Minister, thank you for keeping the promise. You promised to update us today, and we've received the statement. Next, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 5.2 on the order paper, statement by the Minister of Health on the interventions to eradicate malaria in Uganda.
Honourable Minister of Health. Colleagues, you're reminded to put on your masks. Please put on your masks.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members, allow me to appreciate this august House for the opportunity to provide an update on the progress made towards malaria reduction and elimination efforts to date. I would like to make some clarifications on the malaria situation, implementation progress, and elimination targets which we need to attain by 2030. And these are well aligned with the global malaria elimination targets and eradication in the long run. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, malaria is a parasitic disease transmitted by the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. In Uganda, Plasmodium falciparum remains the predominant malaria parasite species at 97% of all infections, followed by Plasmodium malariae infection. P. falciparum is known to cause the most severe forms of malaria. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to inform this House that the entire population of Uganda is at risk of malaria, with 95% of the population living in areas of stable malaria transmission, meaning it is there throughout the year. The remaining 5% live in highland areas which have lower transmission but are prone to epidemics. These are areas like Kavale. Malaria risk in Uganda is influenced by a host of factors such as rainfall, temperature, population movement, poverty, access to health services, urbanization, and altitude. Population groups with a disproportionate malaria burden include pregnant women, children under 5 years of age, people with immune-compromising conditions like HIV, sickle cell disease, and cancers, among others, and non-immune travelers. These groups experience more episodes of malaria, severe forms of the disease, and may succumb to the disease if they don't receive prompt and quality diagnosis and treatment. Most recently, data has shown that children 5 to 15 years have an increased risk of malaria and are known to drive the transmission. On malaria elimination, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, my ministry is poised to eliminate malaria from Uganda by 2030 to enable socio-economic transformation in alignment with the Vision 2040. Elimination is defined as the interruption of local transmission of a specified malaria parasite species in a defined geographical area as a result of deliberate activities. Continued measures to prevent re-establishment of transmission are required. Elimination by 2030 is feasible, though will require sustained deployment of effective malaria control interventions through concerted effort from all players and the entire populace of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I would have loved to go through the current malaria situation, but the paper is long and I don't know how much time I have, but allow me to summarize. That over the last decade, government has put in a lot of efforts and we have achieved, and I will highlight some of the achievements. Malaria parasite prevalence rate, that is the number of people who have malaria infection in the population, reduced from 42% in 2009 to 9% in 2019. But obviously the prevalence is heterogeneous, varying from less than 1% in Kampala and to 34% in Karamoja. The incidence, these are number of new cases, decreased from 460 per thousand in 2013 to 292 per thousand persons per year in 2019, 36% reduction. Inpatient malaria deaths decreased from 30 per 100,000 population in 2013 to 9 per 100,000 deaths in 2019. This was short of the set target of 5 deaths per 100,000 population. The proportion of malaria deaths to total deaths in health facilities also decreased from 18% in 2013 to 12% in 2019, a 33% reduction. The under 5 mortality rate reduced from 90 per 1,000 live births in 2011 to 64 per 1,000 live births in 2016, a 30% reduction. Right Honorable Speaker, I've provided a map showing malaria parasite prevalence and trend in Uganda. When you look at that map, for those who have the iPads, you will note that Karamoja is painted red with a very high prevalence at 34%. West Nile follows closely at 22%, Busoga at 21%, and then some areas in mid-north, notably Acholi, Lango, 12 and 13% respectively. Then we have 8, Teso, North Buganda, and Bunyoro. The other areas have relatively lower prevalence. Right Honorable Speaker, on financing for malaria control, the funding realized for implementation of malaria interventions between 2015 to 2019 was Uganda shillings 3.2 trillion, representing 63.8% of the total financial need of 5 trillion, leaving a gap of 36.2%, which is Uganda shillings 1.8 trillion. Most of this funding, and that is 84.6%, was from donors, while government contributed 15.4%. Of the key donors, we have Global Fund that contributed 40% of the malaria funding, followed by USAID with 24% and DFID or UK Aid at 18.8%. Right Honorable Speaker, I will bring out some contextual issues. Malaria transmission in the country is heterogeneous and cannot be effectively addressed through a one-size-fits-all approach. Some areas require more intensive efforts. 2, funding for malaria interventions in the last 5 years has been suboptimal, as I mentioned, at 63.8%. The malaria control gains that we have made are fragile, with an ever-present risk of reversal should funding end from the partners or interventions be withdrawn without a properly managed exit plan. COVID-19 pandemic has also strained the health system. 4, there is reducing effectiveness of the known tools, the anti-malarial medicines and indoor residual spraying chemicals due to resistance developed by the parasite. 5, climate change and floods have led to increases in the breeding abilities of the mosquito vector. And 6, border crossing and international travels continuously make Uganda vulnerable to introduction of new species or strains of malaria. I will now give some information on the burden of malaria since January to March 2022. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the country is currently experiencing an increased burden of malaria. This situation started in 2019 and has been sustained. Allow me to summarize this information. I'll go straight to the outpatient malaria burden. Malaria contribution to outpatient visits, out of 11,251,900 OPD visits, about 3.2 million are cases of malaria. Regarding the under 5, out of the 3.2 million cases of malaria, 774,000 are children under 5. And malaria in pregnancy, out of the 489,000 pregnant women attending their first antenatal visit, 80,000 come in with malaria. Now, that was outpatient burden. Inpatient burden, out of the 804,000 total admissions, 61,000 of the people admitted have malaria. I will move straight now to mortality. All malaria deaths, 628 malaria deaths were reported. Under 5, of the 628 deaths, 371 occurred in children under 5 years, that is 59%. And regarding malaria in pregnancy, out of the 628 deaths, 41, that is 7%, were among pregnant women. Right Honorable Speaker, there are regions with increased cases, as I mentioned earlier, and I will go through some of them. Several districts in different regions around the country are experiencing an increase in the number of malaria cases, and the most affected, as I showed you in the map, are Karamoja, Bukedi, Busoga, Lango, Acholi, in that order. To respond to the increased number of cases across the country, the Ministry of Health is carrying out the following. We have increased diagnostics and medicines allocation, distribution of insecticide-treated mosquito nets through antenatal and child immunization clinics, We have intensified surveillance and staff mentorships, and special emphasis is being placed on the hardest hit districts through an epidemic response plan, including the following: integrating the malaria epidemic response in the existing COVID-19 coordination and management structures, so that when we are looking for COVID at the same time, we also focus on malaria. We have transferred funds to the affected districts to support coordination, operation, surveillance, and capacity building. There is deployment of new and improved anti-malarials, malaria test kits, and ensuring availability of blood at these facilities. Provision of insecticide-treated nets for the patients with malaria. When they come in, they test positive, we give treatment and we give a net. Strengthening malaria surveillance system from weekly to daily reporting and data use for decision making. We have strengthened interpersonal communication at the health facility, communication, community levels and in schools, and engagement of the private sector providers, that is the clinics, the pharmacies and the drug shops, on proper management of malaria and early referral. Maybe just to let members know here that drugs for malaria are sold at a subsidized price, supported through the Global Fund. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will now go to the eradication and elimination strategies. For the long term, the Ministry is implementing the Uganda Malaria Reduction Elimination Strategic Plan, which runs from 2021 to 2025. The plan has adopted stratification of the country and deployment of different intervention mixes per strata through the most appropriate delivery approaches for maximum impact. Issues of human rights in malaria programming have been highlighted in the strategic plan, guided by the equity plan of leaving no one behind. The core interventions include the following: malaria vector control, deploying a mix of long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, indoor residual spraying, larviciding, and environmental management. 2 is malaria case management. This means diagnosis and treatment at the facilities. 3 is chemoprevention in high-risk population groups. This means we go there and we give anti-malarials to the communities to take for prevention. 4, surveillance, monitoring, evaluation, and operational research. 5, epidemic prevention, preparedness, and response, like right now we are having the upsurges in those regions. 6, advocacy, social mobilization, and behavioral change communication. And 7, program management, including stronger private sector engagement. Right, Honorable, I will highlight some of the current interventions and the outputs and their funding gaps. And I'll start with the long-lasting insecticide-treated net mass distribution. The mass distribution campaigns are conducted every 3 years. The most recent round was in 2020-2021, where 28 million nets were distributed across the country to achieve universal coverage of 1 net for every 2 persons in a household. A mosquito net costs $3 at the factory, with another $2 or $2 for shipment, storage, and in-country distribution, bringing the total cost to $5 for a net in a household. For the upcoming campaign planned in 2020-2023, to distribute 28.7 million nets, we require $135 million. Of this, the Global Fund has provided $85 million against Malaria Foundation, $32 million, and this is in kind, nets only. The new net project is providing $4 million, USAID $4 million, making a total of $125 million. This means there is a funding gap for the upcoming campaign of $10 million. 2, or B, routine net distribution. We distribute nets to pregnant women and children under 5 years through antenatal and EPI clinics. EPI is expanded program on immunization at both government and private facilities. Annually, government distributes 1.5 million nets through this channel, and it is mostly funded by Global Fund and USAID, meaning we receive the nets and we give them out. The ministry also plans to distribute nets to school children in 11 high-burden districts in Lango and Acholi this school term. The districts are Apache, Kole, Kitgum, Gulu, Oyam, Noya, Lamuo, Pader, Amuru, Omoro, and Kwania. A total of 215,000 nets will be distributed at a cost of $1 million US.
Now, Honorable Minister, sorry for intervention. Your statement is confusing. You seem to have more detail than what we have in a statement. Because I don't know whether, colleagues, you have the full statement. Because like some of, like now, where you've talked of 11 districts, the statement given to us has 40 high burden districts. So, and I've tried, if you've seen me, I've been trying really to add up what, yes. So, I'll be glad if you can share that detailed statement.
Right,
I don't know whether you are adding in the details, or then we have a statement. It's signed by Anifa Banjirana Kawoya, the one that was given to me. I don't know whether, colleagues, you have the same.
Right, Honorable, yeah. I submitted a statement today. So, you have what she's reading. Yes. So if what the minister is reading is what is on the iPad, kindly crack, avail me with a copy of the updated statement. Crack. Honourable Minister, go on, clerk will handle. Go on, colleagues have it on iPad. But try to summarize. Yes,
because you had 10 minutes.
Right, Honourable, I'm summarizing. I'm about to end. I'm now on indoor residual spraying. Currently 10 high burden districts in Bukedi and Mid-North, namely Budaka, Butaleja, Butebo, Chibuku, Namutumba, Palisa, Lira, Serere, Bujiri, and Tororo are receiving indoor residual spraying. These districts are sprayed annually before the rainy season. In March 2022, a total of 1,104,000 houses were sprayed, achieving a coverage rate of 92.9% and protecting about 4 million people, including 700,000 children under 5 years old and 110,000 pregnant women. There is a plan to extend the indoor residual spraying to 9 high burden districts in West Nile, namely Adjumani, Arua, Moyo, Koboko, Yumbe, Obongi, and Madio Kolo, and 4 additional districts in Mid-North, including Kaberamaido, Kalaki, Amolata, and Dokolo. Previously funded by DFID that exited the bilateral funding. This will now be funded by the Global Fund. The strategic plan has targeted to spray over 60 districts by 2025. A district of 300,000 people requires about 1 billion shillings per spray season, which means 200 million for operational costs and 800 million for chemicals, supplies, and equipment. Right, Honorable, this is why we cannot spray all the districts. The costs are enormous. I'll now talk about larviciding or larval source management. Measures such as larviciding and environmental management diminish vector breeding sites and kill vectors at their larval stages to reduce transmission of malaria and other vector-borne diseases. Government is supporting the implementation of larviciding in 6 districts. We have Kabale, Rwanda, Kisoro, Lira, Aleptong, and Otuke, to a tune of 1 billion annually. We require more funds to scale up to additional 13 districts planned. The cost to cover a district varies with terrain and water body mass. And then we have the chemo prevention. Therapeutic doses of malaria medicines are provided to vulnerable populations like pregnant women to prevent malaria. More recently, Karamoja district, which has the highest burden of malaria in Uganda, occurring in a season pattern, has been targeted to receive chemo prevention in the peak malaria transmission season, that is May to September. This intervention started out in 2 districts of Moroto and Kotido in 2022. Data showed over 90% reduction in incidence of malaria in children in these districts. All Karamoja districts except Amudat will be covered in 2023 with the intervention. This intervention is funded by GiveWell, Global Fund, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. For example, in Moroto, seasonal malaria chemo prevention reached 23,000 children under 5 years at an estimated cost of Uganda shillings 1.2 billion. This is through an implementation science approach. Chair, the other interventions include case management, that is treatment in the facilities. Then we have what we call integrated case management of childhood illnesses, where the village health teams move through the villages to provide treatment for malaria to the families where they find children with fever. This is being conducted in 63 districts across the country. We need to scale it up, but we are still mobilizing resources from partners. The other interventions include social behavioral change, ensuring that our interventions are implemented, including sleeping under the nets consistently, including clearing the bushes near homes. Right Honorable Speaker, my ministry continues with surveillance, monitoring, evaluation, operations research, and epidemic preparedness and response. In conclusion, allow me to thank you for granting me this opportunity and to reassure the honorable members and our communities of Uganda that government is committed to eradication of malaria by 2030, and also to thank this august House for your interest in ensuring that we get rid of malaria, but also for the enormous support that we have received. Right Honorable Speaker, I have attached a 1-page about contributions in terms of financing to malaria reduction strategy. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Right Hon. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for the comprehensive statement. I'll give the first opportunity to the chairperson of the forum on malaria, Honorable Dr. Batua, before anyone else.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
And he's the Shadow Minister for Health.
Yeah, I'm also the Shadow Minister of Health. So I take this opportunity to respond to the statement from...
sorry, colleagues, let's make a deal. If you know you have spoken today, you know I won't pick you to contribute on this. Now, this is the general statement where we are not making any resolutions. So I'm very, very cautious where we are not making any resolutions. On where we are making clear resolutions, okay, I can pick you 2-3 times. But where we are not making any resolutions, I will pick people who have not yet spoken. So, Honorable Doctor, yes, on the statements.
Yeah,
Dr.
thank
Batua.
you.
No, let Honorable Dr. Batua
Yeah.
first.
Thank you very much,
then
Right Honorable. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Sincerely, I agree and support the statement the way it has been given. Right Honorable Speaker, I was prompted by a sentence that indicated that the prevalence of malaria had come down from 42% to 9%, knowing that we do not have any of the interventions that have been read to us. None has been scaled out to be implemented across the country. They've just been implemented piecemeal. I was prompted to really find out whether the prevalence of malaria has reduced. First and foremost, I contacted the Namutumba district for a simple reason. Right Honorable Speaker, last month, it was reported, though it was refuted by the DHO, but it had been reported that in Namutumba district, one sub-county lost 100 children in one sub-county in 1 month. That claim was refuted. That claim was refuted by the district health officer, but again it prompted me to go there and find out. I found out that cases of malaria have been increasing, just as the minister later, explained to us that we've lost the battle. Much as we had achieved gain against malaria, but we are losing the battle. In 2016, there were 82,000, 2017, 84,000, 2019, 88,000, 2021, 112,000. So we are losing the battle unless we stand with the minister and support her. How are we losing the battle? The interventions that the minister is talking about, basically there are three. The mosquito nets, you find that apparently they are just giving 2 people in a home. Only 2 people get the mosquito nets. So sincerely, what the minister desires, she can't achieve unless we support her on that. Indoor residual spraying is being done in just a few districts. As she has read, they are just a handful, yet Uganda has over 100 and there are about 140 something districts. So we need a lot of effort in that, but she's challenged, as she has explained, that the insecticide is not effective. What really works and what has worked elsewhere, Israel is one of the countries that has had malaria and one of the success stories in eradicating malaria. They've taken the path of larviciding, using larvicides. In Uganda, as the minister has explained, we are about to extend it to 6 districts. So going that path with that level of weakness, we've just given the minister 1 billion shillings to do larviciding. That is very little money, yet the method itself is very effective. Spending 1 billion on larviciding is actually wasting money. You'll kill the larvae in those 6 districts, but you have another 120 districts surrounding these 6 where mosquitoes which still have the parasite can go and reinfect those places, rendering you to have done nothing. So that 1 billion we are giving the minister, much as is very little, we are wasting it. So if we are not up to the task of really fighting malaria, if we are not up to the task of giving in more money to the fight against malaria, then I don't want to discourage you that we should not give any money, but we should stand up to the fact and give money to that. We therefore propose the following. Overall, there is need to seriously rethink of our strategies and interventions to avoid sloganeering, because we just launched a malaria strategy for 2021-2025 after failing to hit our target in 2014-2020 strategy. But hardly a year into the implementation of the new strategy, we seem to be losing the fight as the cases are increasing, just as the minister stated. Prioritize effective case management of malaria to reduce on the malaria mortality rate by ensuring availability of blood in all healthy facilities in Uganda. Case management is the treatment, as the minister has said. We lose malaria patients, mostly those who are under severe malaria or those that are critically ill. And what we've noticed, beyond the medicine, the patients who need blood transfusion in areas, when you fail to get blood, even when you're rich, you're likely to lose your wife or your child or your beloved one who is infected with severe malaria. The idea of having blood is really very important. Right Honorable, Busoga sub-region, Karamoja sub-region, and Bunyoro, just as the minister has indicated, the most burdened regions, the most 3 burdened regions, they all have one thing in common: they do not have a blood bank. Bunyoro has just been enrolled, it's about to get, it will get in this financial year, and I also pray that Moroto gets this financial year. But it's important that Busoga gets, is highly burdened, it gets a blood bank. Right Honorable Speaker, A blood bank alone is not enough. If you remember the discussion we had about this.
Honorable, try to conclude.
Yeah. If you remember the discussion we had about this, Right Honorable Saro Pendi from Tororo rose up and also indicated that they are challenged with blood transfusion. Yet Tororo has a blood bank. We pray, Right Honorable Speaker, that beyond making blood available, let's make it accessible. The lower health facilities, Health Center 4, should be functionalized to handle this by way of, number one, availing them with refrigerators, such that when they receive blood, they can store it, refrigerators powered with solar and electricity. Number two, let them have the capacity to identify which patient needs a transfusion. There is a machine that does that, a CBC analyzer, a complete blood count analyzer. Let them be availed to Health Center Force, such that this capability enables them use the blood for transfusion. Right Honorable Speaker, in the short term, close supervision and support should go to Health Center 3s and 4s. Fast track and amplify the use of larviciding as a method of malaria vector management.
Now you've
Government
started
should,
repeating yourself,
government should
Honorable.
support African Union.
No. Honorable, but why you've started repeating yourself?
No, but in conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I pray, Right Honorable Speaker, that you allow the Parliamentary Committee on Health to interface with all the stakeholders that are in the fight against malaria, such that we revisit the policy on malaria. We want to see whether they want us to improve the framework in which they are operating. We want to see whether they are comfortable with the environment, the policy environment within which they are working, because they're injecting in a lot of money. As you've heard, it is in excess of 120 million US. So let us listen to them, and so that we proceed in this next 5 years on the fight against malaria on the same page. I beg to lay my statement, Right Honorable Speaker.
Oh, Honorable, you've done your submission. You didn't tell me you had a statement. So, on record, I don't have anything to do with the statement. You've made a submission. So, Honorable Agnes
Thank you, much obliged.
Honorable Agnes Amede, Honorable Jennifer Namuyangu, Honorable Amos Okot. Now, ministers on several occasions also contribute on these issues. They are members of parliament. So whenever they feel like contributing, I'll be giving them opportunity.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I would like to thank the Minister for her statement.
Colleagues, sorry. If you see, I try to balance because I look at the political divide in the House. When I pick two people here, I pick one here. I try to do that balance and then independent. Because you see, it must reflect the political shades also sometimes in the House. Yeah. So, Honorable Mede.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you, the Minister, for the statement. Honorable Minister, my wish is to request that you incorporate another perspective to the malaria fight, the issue of malnutrition, both for the adults and the children. At least in the case of Butevo, I suspect it has contributed to both the increase in incidences of malaria getting to severe and other burdens to other burdens of disease. People are hungry. Much as the issue of hunger is focused to Karamoja, but I would like to inform this House that people in Butevo are hungry. People are having one meal and others barely having anything to eat. So we need government to come up with a comprehensive plan on how they are going to address this issue of chronic hunger. And in my view, it should be a cross-cutting issue such that Minister of Health, if it is spearheading it together with Minister of Agriculture, perhaps the intervention would be for Ministry of Agriculture to supply fast maturing foods like vines, groundnuts, beans, and then also education of the people about proper nutrition. The other issue regarding to the same, whereas the minister has already
Honorable, your time is up.
Honorable
Procedure. Colleagues, you have only 2 minutes. If you
Thank you,
go
Right
into
Honourable
details.
Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the minister's statement was on malaria. I'm hearing statements about seeds, about feeding and all that. So, Right Honourable Speaker, are we proceeding well by listening to a colleague talking about hunger when the issue of hunger was addressed by the Minister for Karamoja Affairs? But also, Right Honourable Speaker,
misinformation.
Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, the other procedural issue that I wanted to raise, I think you need to give us time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes per member, so that other members can speak, because it seems it's open. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable. I gave a special attention to the Shadow Minister of Health, who also happens to be the chairperson of the forum. And this issue came here because of him. So that's why I gave him time. The rest have 2 minutes. The rest are having 2 minutes. Let's not interrupt each other with procedure, with what. Then we submit. We submit. The minister is taking note of the issues we are contributing. So I had allowed Honorable Namuyango. Issues of hunger really shouldn't come into this for sure.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable, I want to appreciate my senior colleague for the statement. Chibuku as a district and all the neighboring districts, we have a very, very bad situation where children are dying in big numbers. These children develop fever with the high temperatures, headache, but they also end up within a few days urinating blood, and they become anemic. And they are dying. The mortality rate for the children is very high. And these children, if there is need for blood transfusion, they have to be referred to Umbali. So I wanted to request, because I've interfaced with my senior, but she also seemed not to have support in terms of intervening. So I want to request that at least the districts of Chibuku and all those that are neighboring, including Namutumba, are given special attention to support them so that we save the children. There is no blood bank nearby. Even the chemicals that the minister talked about are not killing the mosquitoes. They are not. So I believe even the mosquito nets were given far back last year. Many of them don't even have them. And for us as leaders, we are at pain to bury children within a district, over 10 children per day. That's quite a big number, and I want really to request that
Thank you. Now you've seen why a minister should be given a chance to speak. They are also stuck sometimes like us. So I will allow Honorable Yovan Ofura, I allow Kamwenge, then Dr. Yonga, and then Amos here. Dr. Chair of the committee, I'll give you a chance. I'm coming back here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to thank our Minister for Health for giving us wonderful reports. But what I have seen here, one, malaria cases is increasing. This means we have not done enough. If we try to see West Nile, 22%. Then I request Minister to increase the number of nets. At least if a household gets 10, I think it's going to be okay. Because you'll see in our village, we have extended family. Then if you give 2 or 1, it can't be enough. It means still mosquito will disturb other people who don't have nets. And 2, I request your office to empower the member parliaments, because we have a problem in local government. Because of corruption, sometimes you see government is sending a lot of things in local government. And because of corruption, you will see the implementation will not be effective. But if we involve ourselves to move on the ground, mobilize, and substance, I'm sure we're going to reduce the number of malaria in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Kamwenge.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Sylvia Vahireira, representing Kamwenge District. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Health for the struggle of the fight against malaria. With the interventions she has read to us, I have no doubt that by 2030 we can end malaria. And I would like to thank her because COVID did not affect the funding of malaria. Many programs were affected, but malaria programming was not affected. So we thank you very much for that. Then we have kept lamenting on shortage of blood. It is a song. Honorable Speaker, I would like to request the Honorable Minister of Health that as top leaders of this government, members of parliament, why can't we walk the talk? She introduces a program where she sends here a team of blood collectors per quarter, once a quarter, and once the whole country sees us donating blood per quarter, everyone will know that really blood is very significant in this country, and we shall end the song of shortage of blood in the country. I thank you.
Hoima City.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Dr. Joseph Rionga, MP Hoima West. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate our Speaker. He was admitted as a honorary member of Rotary Club of Kampala Central. Yesterday in the evening, I represented all of you. Then one of our staff was the president of Rotary Club of Kampala Central. Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister for the very good strategies. And if you implement those strategies, we shall be able to eliminate malaria. We have been together in that talk when I was working at the district as a DHO. Honorable Minister, through you, Speaker, the main challenge which I've been getting in implementing these programs is most of them are vertical programs. When funds, because they are donor funded, when there are no funds, there are some activities which are not implemented. For example, like the ICCM or the VHT. We used to have very vibrant, very healthy teams, but most of these are being funded by the donors, but when the donors withdraw, then those activities are not implemented. In fact, what the Honourable Minister was trying to tell the Parliament, that she wants more money. If we do give her more money, we implement all these strategies, malaria will be eliminated. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Bugabura. Then Agago Amos Okot. Amos, you can be presenting as Bugabura.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we thank the Minister for the interventions that so far have been put in place. By Right Honourable Speaker, before Dr. Batua took over, I was caretaking the forum for malaria.
Honourable Morris, put on your mask.
I was caretaking, and we had several engagements with the Minister, including some stakeholders. And there are some commitments, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Minister, as government, we are required to fulfill, so that somewhere, somehow, we move some miles. To begin with, the Right Honorable Speaker, there was a request from this Parliament in the last Parliament. The Minister knows it very well. Where the budget was required, it was, I think, around 390 billion for internal residue spraying for the whole of the country. Not some districts, because when you spray Namutumba and Iganga, just know that Kamuli will infect Namutumba and Iganga, and your work will be like washing and putting in the soil. So there was that requirement. Then to Right Honorable Speaker, the President came here and opened that forum himself. And there was a request of malaria fund. We were in a meeting with the minister, and we recorded the need for malaria fund. So I wish the minister could make a comment on malaria fund that was required. The president was here, and the president promised very many things when he was opening the forum. But we don't know how far we have gone. The other item, Right Honorable Speaker, the minister said they give nets to pregnant ladies when they go for antenatal and so on. Maybe in Kampala. I've not seen it in Kamuli and Busoga in particular, or Bugabula in particular. I have, unless the ladies I see in Bugabula.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is true, malaria is a burden to our country. And it's a burden that everywhere you go, masses you can even give malaria, mosquitoes treated net, still people have to face this same burden. I want to thank the minister so much when she mentioned a case management treatment by using VHT. VHT has been so helpful to the rural people. Remember, in many areas, health centers are very far to the extent that it's not very easy for people to reach out at the right time. To the extent that if you could only strengthen the VHT, train them well, give them the appropriate knowledge such that they can be able to reach out to the children at the right time, that will help us a lot to treat people who are infected with malaria. Number two, Mr. Speaker, there are too many fake drugs in the market, to the extent that we need to strengthen the monitoring of the drug resistance in the area. Because you find you can be taking malaria drugs, at the same time those parasites doesn't leave. Then at the end somebody dies. And that thing also is accompanied with the people who you can be having some ailment, which is not malaria, then diagnosis takes some time. You find somebody is having maybe an injury out of accident. It takes so long for somebody to detect that the person is having malaria, then somebody dies of malaria simply because they might have not done prophylaxis treatment. I would encourage that maybe they take an interest to put people under prophylaxis using considered drugs that can help in those areas.
Honorable, your time is up.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this time.
You can use the same with Amos. Rukunjiri, you can use this one. Please give it to Rukunjiri. Dr. Rutahigwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Once again, my name is Dr. Rutahigwa Elisa, representing the people of Rukungiri Municipality. I first of all want to thank my minister for the report she has shared with us. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not a fan of targets 2030 to eradicate malaria. My biggest concern is between now and 2030, how many people shall we lose to malaria? And we have seen this. What I want to talk about, Right Honorable Speaker, is that we have seen people die when they get malaria. The cause of death is not that they have got the malaria, but they have failed to access treatment. Recently, I was in Oyam, and we looked at a community program that is there under the funding of Living Goods, and the program was working very well. That even when I looked at the statistics, the data of the facilities which we visited, there were evidence that cases of malaria had dropped drastically. I want to agree with my brother here that community programs are the best to make sure that we control malaria and it doesn't kill our children, it doesn't kill our people. When we were in facilities, we found that some of the facilities had the medicines, while others, the medicines were out of stock, and even in others, the medicines had expired for the antimalarials. Now, can we have a system in our facility?
Nanyondo, Kayondo, Rurume Bayiga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and Right Honorable Minister for the statement. From the recommendations, Right Honorable Minister, you talked about the distribution of nets, which is a good idea, but I would request that when we are distributing nets, let the nets be put on the health centers where pregnant mothers go for antenatal. This will encourage more mothers to come for antenatal, and it will avoid these nets falling into the people who don't value them. We have seen most of the nets are being used for fishing and others at the gardens, so they don't do their work. So that is my request, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Kayondo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me talk to the Minister that I'm one person who is doing a research on the resistance of microorganisms over pharmaceuticals. Minister was speaking here, and she has kept on repeating it, that mosquitoes are not dying. And the members here are also recognizing that. But, Honorable Speaker, we have used one formulation for the last 25 years. The ministry has used cypermethrin and Lavadox for the last 25 years over the mosquitoes. These mosquitoes have mutated, and they are dealing with a mutant, so that's why they are resisting. They cannot die because they have used the same exposure for the last 25 years. How I request the ministry to change the formulation. There are so many formulations that can be used to kill these mosquitoes. And some of us, we are here to be consulted if need be. Honorable Speaker, we have a full authority in Uganda, the National Drug Authority, which is responsible to manage the effectiveness and the quality of pharmaceuticals on the market. But Honorable Speaker's member can agree with me here. When you go to the pharmacy or a drug shop, you have to be inquisitive over which pharmaceutical you are going to buy, and you even ask from which country. There are pharmaceuticals which are not efficient at all, but they are on the market here. And we have National Drug Authority, which is supposed to control those drugs. How I wish the ministry can strengthen the National Drug Authority to wipe out all those fake
Thank you. But, Honourable Minister, that's an important point, because sometimes you go to a pharmacy and they say India is this much, Europe is this much. Now, depending on your pocket, you decide whether to heal first or you heal in a long period because of your pocket. Now, why? I had allowed Dr. Rume Baiga, then I'll go. I'm trying to pick the doctors first, then Dr. Kamara. I want scientists these days, we are promoting science, so it should be reflected on the floor. Dr. Rume Baiga.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Colleagues, I want Dr. Tamaguzu to keep quiet. So go on, Honorable.
May I be protected, Right Honorable Speaker,
Please.
from hecklers? Right Honorable Speaker, about 3 months ago, while engaging with the Ministry of Health, I indicated it to the Director General that there is a resurgence of malaria in my district. The microcosm was at Nkokonjeru Health Center 2, where they had recognized an upsurge of about 34%. When I asked the DHO, in some sub-counties, it had gone to about 40%. Maybe because we are near Busoga. That is why this part has not been. Yes. Information has been given that Busoga is one of the areas with high burden of malaria.
The doctor is speaking. So the lawyers will come later.
The lawyer should do. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Please.
Information has been given, and I want to be emphatic on this, that Busoga area is one of the areas with high disease burden. And maybe because Vuyiko is near Busoga, that is why we are having, but being swamped up by Busoga instead of reporting that Vuyiko is one of the areas with the high disease burden. So, I blame our surveillance system. And this has been reported on last. That disease surveillance is taking a little budget, and it is remembered last. Much of the information which is generated in health centers may not reach the ministry because of poor reporting system. I beg your indulgence.
No, honorable time. Dr. Nicholas Kamara can improve, can start from where you stopped.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for picking me, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the good report. I want to just add a little bit on the Minister's report, that on top of what she has said, malaria is the top cause of miscarriages, malnutrition, and infant mortality. And I want to just comment about two issues. One is the resistance to the larvicides. We have seen that there is a resistance to larvicides. At the same time, while residual spraying is taking place, there is upsurge of malaria, especially in Busoga. Therefore, we need to do a lot of research or change the insecticide which we are using. The second thing we are talking about is the funding. As my colleague Dr. Yonga has said, and the minister has ably stated, most of the funding comes from donors. Now, Honorable Speaker, right, Honorable Speaker, we have reached a middle income status. According to the President, we have reached the middle income status. Now, what is going to happen is that the donors are going to start pulling out because they will assume that we have a lot of money. So, I want us as government and Parliament to take a big interest in this cause and make sure that the malaria interventions are well funded by Parliament, to make sure that for example, ICCM in the whole
Kasanda, and then Nakasaka Central.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, and I really want to appreciate the Minister of Health for the elaborate report. I have a great concern, Right Honorable Speaker, on the mutation of malaria, because currently, as I speak in my household, I have about 5 people who have had malaria that has resisted all kinds of drugs on the market, and yet it manifests itself through hard diarrhea, vomiting, and headaches that are constant. So we need to find ways on this mutating malaria. Also, the minister has read, and with great concern, and I'm deeply disturbed, that 80,000 women go to health centers with malaria. And we also know that malaria is one of the leading causes of miscarriages. I have had encounters with women who have lost their pregnancies through malaria, even without knowing that they have it. Over 28% of young girls between the ages of 15 and 24 have also lost their pregnancies as a result of malaria. So I think it is my suggestion that we need to focus our priority to women's health, maternal health. Probably we increase the budget of women's maternal health issues to at least 5%, just targeting women and maternal health, especially in regards to malaria and losing their pregnancies. Also, the accessibility of malaria drugs in health centers 3s and 4s is still lacking. We go to health centers and there are no malaria drugs. They are giving you drugs for Panadol for malaria. They are giving you drugs for cough for malaria. So our health center 3s need to be equipped with malaria drugs and malaria kits. Thank you very much.
Nakaseke Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, you have talked about routine net distribution to pregnant women and children under 5 years through antenatal and EPI clinics. Honorable Minister, in Nakaseke Central, pregnant women are buying these nets by themselves. So you need to clarify on this. Why is it Nakaseke Central being left out in that program? And you can explain to us what are these EPI clinics. Maybe you can refer my constituents to those where those nets are. And the second one, on the Speaker, we can align $10 million from the Ministry of Defense and we bridge a funding gap for the net mass campaign planned for 2023. Lastly, Madam Speaker, as we think about eradicating malaria in Uganda by 2030, please, I do not know whether it has come to your notice, Honorable Minister, that there is a lot of medicine on market for treating malaria, but they are fake. I have often got this kind of complaint from my constituents in Nakaseke Central. Maybe you could clarify on this. Why is it like that? Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
Colleagues, this is an issue that affects all of us. All of us would want to speak on it. And yet, we do have other important issues. There is an issue of UPDF recruitment, which we must sort today. And I have another official engagement at 6:45, which I've pushed. So I'm going to suspend the debate on this matter to Wednesday. Please, colleagues, you're all important. It's not that your submission is more than the one of others. So when I say suspend, you can't say for me 1 minute. No. Even others would want it. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to suspend the debate on this issue. We resume it on Wednesday for 1 hour so that we allow as many of you as possible. Crack, I would be glad if a list can pass around for those who have not spoken today and were present, so that I start with you. Because you see, please, Crack, pass around the list. Those who are Sergeant at Arms, those who are present today, so that if you're present on Wednesday, we start with you. And we don't get new members and we end up, you know. Yeah, so I suspend debate on this matter to Wednesday next week. I've consulted the minister, she will be around. That's when Chairman Harris, that's when the minister will make final remarks on this issue. So now we go to the issue and ensure those lists are given to the clerk. They'll be available to me on Wednesday. So clerk, we go to the next issue.
Item 5.3, statement by the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs on the alleged unfair and discriminatory recruitment by the Uganda People's Defense Forces.
Now, colleagues, you see this is a matter for both Defense and UA, but they listed on the Minister of Defense. So I'll allow Minister of also Wildlife to... Oh, it even touches prisons. It's general recruitment. Wow. So, but this was the defense. I don't know how UA came in. The matter was specifically defense. The speaker also allowed UA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Please,
Speaker,
I've already gotten it. Honorable Anthony Senu has notified me. So I will also allow the Minister of Tourism to, after defense, tourism will come in, but please keep it short. Please, I want to allow a debate from members.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The statement was successfully uploaded, so I will try to keep it very short. And Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the list is, I think, moving as you directed. I hope I will also write after I've given this statement.
Please go on, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, you directed, and I'm skipping the introduction there, on the details on when, and I hope the Hansard will capture the whole document. Right Honorable Speaker, you directed that the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs to present to this House a comprehensive statement on the matter by Tuesday, 12th July, and we were ready, which we now do today. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2004, Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs undertook a comprehensive program to transform the UPDF into a modern, professional, and accountable force subordinate to the civilian authority. Part of this is recruiting Ugandans who meet the standards prescribed in the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act 2005, sections 51 and 52. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the details of who qualifies at the time. As a result, Uganda's population was put at 33.6 million people. This provides a backdrop for which the recruitment quota allocations are based. Ministry of Defense and Uganda People's Defense Forces carried out a national recruitment from the 18th of June to 4th of July of this very year, 2022. The recruitment was for all Ugandan nationals and was based on quota system. Slots were therefore allotted to districts based on the population housing census of 2014. Right Honorable Speaker, I seek for your protection from a commissioner.
Commissioner
is over-engaging.
I don't know where you get the energy to interfere with the minister in charge of organs in this country. So please, for your own safety,
thank you.
Don't interfere with the Minister of Defense.
Yes, thank you for the protection. And may I reiterate that the census was based on de facto basis, as Ugandan present in different locations at the time of enumeration, and therefore it was not based on any other thing, either tribal or district. The criteria, therefore, for being an eligible applicant is or was 1, A, be a Ugandan national, proof of which is on national ID card. B, adult female or male, 18 to 30 years. C, Uganda Certificate of Education or its equivalent certificate, qualifications, and or any above. D, be healthy and willing to undergo medical and physical tests. E, have no criminal liability, proof of good citizenship is or was LC1, DSO recommendation letters.
It should be noted that the role of the LOC1 is to prove that the applicant had no criminal liability, not his ethnicity, tribal place, overboard. The national identity card proves one's nationality and presumes all biometrics and other details are with NIRA. Recruitment was for all Ugandans who meet the criteria at whatever center. The quotas. The quotas were distributed as follows: 8,400 shared nationwide based on the district population size. B, 1,000 was allocated for mechanics and drivers. C, 600 was Air Force. D, 100 doctors. E, 100 brass band musicians. F, 50 specialized sports. G, the balance were soldiers' offspring. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, because of our unique equipment and task, UPDF had a preference for scientists, artisans, science teachers, and others. We want to thank Ugandans for their overwhelming turn-up, for the recruitment, and for all those who did not make it. Please.
Honorable Korik, the minister is reading a statement. I've allowed him to read a statement. It's uploaded. I don't want him to be interfered with. Please, Honorable, go on. And moreover, defense.
And is my friend. I beg your pardon again. Please, those who did not make it should not be disappointed or dispirited. This will be, the recruitment will be and another recruitment will be in 7 months. Suffice to note that not everybody who came or who met the criteria could be recruited because of the limited slots. Not everyone, not every first grade goes to the best schools or law school. That's an explanation given there. Some complaints have even come through to the leadership of Ministry of Defense, and that's why we are here through this August House. We want to use this chance to address these issues through responding to your queries and reactions to this brief statement. We will, however, first address some specific allegations that were put forth about recruitment in Tororo, Nebi, and Lira. The next page, Right Honorable Speaker, allegations from Tororo as raised by the district woman representative. Toro district, people from elsewhere were recruited from Tororo. Our response: recruitment was done for all Ugandans. B, all Ugandans can be recruited from anywhere in Uganda so long as they have national ID. And LOC1 letters, DSO can vouch for that. They have no criminal record. Because this has never been put clear, we are trying to put it clear. Paragraph 1, 2, subparagraph 2 of the main report of the National Population and Housing Census shows that enumeration of Ugandans was done on 28th of August 2014, census reference night, based on the de facto basis where every Ugandan was at the time between 28th August and 7th of September 2014. It was a national census, and we are emphasizing that, and this is the basis of the quota system. That said, we have a list of all 195 persons who were recruited in Tororo, and the lists are here. We also have all their national IDs, both original, we have them, we picked, and they are here. We therefore invite the honorable member to mention names of those who were recruited wrongly. The recruitment criteria states clearly how Ugandans are recruited in UPDF. Once LOC1s or DSOs recommend, that proves the person has no criminal liability. And to add, they can't go beyond that. 2, Nebi district. The complaint was that out of 57 places allocated, only 11 were from the district. Our response is that the UPDF recruited a total of 163 recruits from the districts of Nebi, Zombo, and Pakwash, and Nebi was just a recruitment center. B, we have all the original IDs here with us in Parliament. While we were recruiting, while we were not recruiting by tribe, and this should be very clear. The law talks about Ugandans. UPDF does not go that side. It's so painful a truth. Of the Navy recruits are Aluri, 99. Actually, what we have here, we can prove through the national ID. All was recommended by LOC1s and DSOs. They are national of the places where...
But Honorable, both of us, Honorable Minister, you are the one who made these rules which we use here. As long as a member is not on record, you don't respond to him, but you're allowing yourself to be distracted by you're falling into their trap.
Yes, that is true. Thank you for waking me up. So all these, the national IDs and LC1 letters are available if required. Lira district, allegation that they dropped most applicants for reportedly being HIV positive. The response is that it is true in Lira, as it is nationwide, all applicants with medical issues were respectively not recruited. B, all the 245 applicants from Lira were healthy and came to the same centers as those who failed the medicals. We have their lists and original national IDs. Because they are now in our custodies, for the record, honorable members, the UPDF, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, lost a number of its members within and over on the medical grounds. That's the need to have mentally and healthy personnel that can serve the purpose. Each recruit fills a medical pink form which provides parameters to be considered on medical grounds. Right, Honorable Speaker, most of these actors are civilians who impersonate to be, there were also extortions. There were also several allegations on extortion and bribery during the recruitment exercise. And the answer is that most of these actors are civilians who impersonate to be members of UPDF and utilize names and offices of very important persons to manipulate the vulnerable population, with the exception of some UPDF members who take part in such activities. These are quickly identified and arrested. However, some of those apprehended had no complainants, which make it difficult for prosecution. And